Happy channel to you. A happy channel to you. Happy channel, dear Reverend Jen. Happy channel to you. Love you.
So yeah, I actually got so emotional filming that with James that I cried all my makeup off. And then after I calmed down, I was just like, I was coming off real depressed, let me just tell you. So I had to redo that footage. And funny enough, while we were recording that, my phone kept lighting up with notifications. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I was just like, can they wait? And then we stopped recording. Actually went to go get a fork to eat the cake and found out that Trump was shot. So things got derailed, so I didn't get to finish making that video. Oh my god. That always happens. I was filming something else when Dave deconstructed too. Yeah, those are about the same level of importance in my life, those two events. Anyway, what a fucking weird job I have. But so yeah, I just wanted to come back on to like record a better version of what we were talking about. But I am just so eternally grateful for the Jennanites. I truly think I have the best of all the internet communities. You guys are so supportive. You're so smart. You're so funny. You not only like financially support me, and I truly mean that, like, this is my job. I get up every day and I do Fundie Fridays. Because of your all's generous support, I am able to pay my bills. And it's truly like a blessing. And I do not want to take this lightly. Like, this is a huge privilege, being able to make creative, semi-educational content as my job. I get to do my passion as my job. What started off as a fun little hobby that I would shit talk with my friends has become my actual livelihood. And I want you to know that it means the world to me. And I want you to know that I try to not take it for granted, because this is definitely not permanent. Nothing in life is. Like, I might have to go work a regular job someday, and that's okay. Like, YouTube could go under, there could be, you know, a mass recession and people not be able to afford to give me money each month, and nor would I want them to spend money that's supposed to be for their bills on me. And so I try to be super understanding. That's why I don't have expensive tiers for my Patreon. I just have the $3 and the $1. I think I used to have higher, and then I got rid of them because I felt bad. Like, how dare I ask for more than $3 a month, you know? Like, I just really want you to know that you guys, I appreciate you, and I worked hard ass fucking jobs before this, and so I understand what goes into hard work and what goes into, like, the kindness that people have to give me money. Like, that's just blows my mind every day. And it couldn't be from a better group. Like, you all are just so supportive and amazing, and every time I'm having a bad day, I talk to one of y'all, and it just fucking completely changes my perspective. Meeting you guys in real life, seeing the joy on your face when you get to talk to me, little old me, like, I can't fucking believe it. I am so lucky. I, like, to think 5 years ago, I was just, you know, working in food service, getting sandwiches thrown at me, and like now I'm Fundie Fridays. Like, what the fuck? That's so crazy, and it's so amazing, like, getting to learn every day with you all, and that be my job. It's fantastic. And the opportunities I've gotten, out of this world, getting to go to the places I have, getting to meet the people I have, getting to meet, like, I have so many friends because of this channel that I never would have dreamed that this would ever be my life. And, like, I hope they're watching, but, like, Jordan and McKay, they have become James and I's, like, actual really close friends. And I never would have met them if it wasn't for this channel. And even, like, I've watched Fundie Snark grow from this niche little pocket of the internet to being a full blown, like, worldwide phenomenon. Like, there are articles about the impact of stuff like that, and, like, seeing the deconstruction movement growing into, like, this, like, household name. It just blows my mind. Like, I'm so thankful to you guys. I'm so grateful for the opportunities that I have and the privilege that I have to be able to do this. it just blows my mind. Like, I know I keep saying that over and over, but it's just like, this all happened so fast. I've only been doing Fundie Fridays full time for three out of 5 years, and it still doesn't feel real. And I have so much fun, and I look forward to, like, I don't go out on Friday nights. I hang out with you guys. And like, I look forward to it. Like, if I don't get my little chat with you guys on Fridays, I get so sad. Just amazing. I love hearing from you all, and I love anytime I make a video, and if I have any questions about a subject and I say, like, what do you think, or what does this mean, or who is this guy, and you guys always know because you're informed, you've been there, you've went through this shit. I haven't deconstructed religiously. I'm an outsider to this movement, and you all have taken me in as one of your own, and it is so fucking sweet and life affirming. Like, I can't believe that you all have included me in your journey. It's just, I'm so grateful. Like, this is so magical. And to be able to bring James along, because, like, he has a degree. He can go get a normal job after all this. I'd probably become a video editor. I would try video editing first, and then I would try to go work fast food again. To be truthful. Because this life is not guaranteed. You have to live every day to the fullest. I know these are cliches, but it's really true. You guys have watched us get several pets. You watched us get married. You have been there through the good times and the bad. I mean, it was literally the Genonites and like even the greater like snark communities that saved our ass when Lawson Bates tried to copyright strike us off the internet. And if you don't know that story, I'll try to sum it up really quickly, but I did a cover of a Lawson Bates song. You probably have seen it. It's the song that plays when you start the channel, when you open up the channel on YouTube. And even though I transformed it significantly and made it my own, and added stuff to it, he fraudulently copyright striked me, which is different than a claim. If you get 3 strikes on your YouTube channel, they automatically delete it after 7 days, unless you get it repealed. And we went right up to the line, and we had so much support from the Genonites, like tweeting at YouTube and getting us a hold of contact information for some people. We were able to win that copyright struggle, and now Lawson is not allowed to copyright strike us again unless he sues us, which sounds scary, but it's not. It's YouTube's way of saying you're not allowed to do double jeopardy on Fundie Fridays for this same song. Unless you want to take matters into your own hands, and hopefully he never does that. But it was just so validating to have people be like, "That was fucked up, and we're gonna help." And we got such a surge in supporters from that Lawson situation that we've been able to really take off and do things for the channel that we never were able to without that financial support. And it's just, I'll say it again, I'm so thankful. I'm so grateful. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I love you guys so fucking much. You really do make my life like magical and special. And, you know, I've gotten to see the best and the worst parts of Christianity doing this channel, and it's really opened my mind. And I've just love hearing about people's experiences, and I love being able to help them through their deconstruction. But even if that's not the case, I love just being a funny person that they can, you know, let off some steam with. And remember that fucked up thing, you know? So many people. I mean, I just like my merch. Like, we have literal partner artists who make use of their creative talents to make merch for my silly channel. The inside jokes, the lore, the Fundie Friday cinematic universe, it's just crazy. And I couldn't do it without you guys. And so,
I also wanted to take a second and say my piece. Yeah, if this was a surprise to Jen, then you can imagine what it was to me. I had a whole other life and career planned out, and then this all sort of happened, and I realized I think I found my calling. You all let me be a storyteller, you let me inform, you let me be a part of this whole thing with her, and, I mean, I'm going to get weepy if I talk too much. It's kind of where
that was my problem.
I was going to say, thank you all so much for everything. You really you know, I don't know what to say about this life because I never planned to be here, except I'm going to do it for as long as I can and give it all I got. Thank you for watching everything that we've made. Thank you for chatting with us, telling us your feelings. Thank you for, God knows, thank you for supporting us, all of y'all that do that. Yeah, just thank you for everything. We love y'all so much.
Really hope you enjoyed this video. It's just a walk down memory lane, and I didn't include every single funny joke that I've ever told because that would be a 12-hour video. I'm just kidding, but I tried to fit a lot of stuff in there, and I am going to try and make shorts. I know, I'm scared to put shorts out there because I'm afraid. I don't want to open up my comment section to, like, regular YouTube and, you know, kind of be outside of my bubble, but YouTube wants us to make shorts, so... yeah, I love you guys, and I will talk to you later.
Apparently David was not raised Christian and actually converted after being proselytized at the mall, which I find hilarious because people always try to sell me shit at the mall, but it's usually nipple rings or hair straighteners. Had to fix these real quick off camera. I was told to make my eyebrows more spermy, so let's see if I can do that.
You just want to do a little bit. This is a little darker than I like. I don't know where my other one is. So I put some of that on.
This is amazing. Hold on, Jill, I'm not done.
Let that dry. Alright, then I do my eyeshadow. Now, you can get almost any eyeshadow and make that work. Cheap eyeshadow, expensive.
That look good enough to have 13 kids with?
There's several different sizes of curling irons you can use. I actually have quite a few sizes.
Oh, Jill's a size queen.
Behemoth is a dinosaur is he.
And of course, America's favorite quiver, the Duggars, stopped by for a visit.
Some things that they say in evolution make sense, but then if you read in the Bible, it lines up to where it's not, it's not correct. It's totally different.
Answers in Genesis wanted to take the rainbow back from gay people, so out of protest, I guess, the display is still going on. I don't know, Ken. That seems pretty gay to me. That hypothetically, I created an account on sisterwives.com, a website for people to find a plural spouse. And despite the fact that I used a picture of pro wrestler Sasha Banks as my picture, my name being a reference to a vine, I still receive messages on the daily.
We call it kind of like a wheel, and there are certain spokes in the wheel. Each wife is a spoke in the wheel.
Lori is constantly updating her social media pages with entries on every subject imaginable. Who could forget when she said that women shouldn't be allowed to vote, or that black pride is dangerous for children, or that Little House on the Prairie is a part of the feminist agenda, claiming that sometimes words just aren't the way to win a fight. She talks about a John Wayne movie where she watched the main character spank his wife and she behaved afterward.
If you look at your bodies, women, we have breasts, ovaries, wombs. We have monthly periods that remind us of our purpose in life. And people would get married, and soon after they would have children, maybe a lot of honeymoon babies back then. But now, because of college debt, student college debt, and loan and birth control.
Education, like such as in South Africa and the Iraq, everywhere like such as.
He also suggests that on vacations, if your husband wants sex, you must give it to him, even if you're sharing a tent with your children. That sounds like something a serial killer would say, but go off, called United Baits of America. Had an amazing theme song. Lawson has a mediocre country career. And he even did a little equestrian modeling, too. Lawson and John David were carrying guns and Arkansas constable badges, being belligerent with security officials, and giving orders to U.S. Navy helicopter pilots. They also commandeered, aka stole, $20,000 worth of fuel for their own ass-backwards purposes. And unlike official disaster relief volunteers who slept in hammocks, these jackasses stayed in an air-conditioned building, which they didn't share, and had Chick-fil-A and Krispy Kreme.
Well, you believe in God and the Bible?
Well, yes, sir, I do.
And does that help you?
Help me?
Does that help you to be at peace with yourself?
Yes, it does.
Well, then I think that's great, and I would encourage you to go on believing.
I thought it was great. Let me ask you something. Does your mother look like an ape?
What'd you say?
Does your mother look like an ape?
Watch it, man.
Cayman says we all come from apes, so which one in your family was the monkey?
You can chance your eternity on the views of Freud and Darwin if you want. I'm putting my trust in Jesus Christ.
The story starts off with Joshua witnessing a domestic dispute between his parents.
Hey, come on. This is my day off. This is what I'm gonna do.
Well, if you would just stop spending so much time on that car of yours, I wouldn't get so upset.
He goes to his room and you can see his stuffed animals that resemble the other creatures in this cinematic universe. They all resemble flesh-colored skin suits of amorphous gender. Joshua and the angel made of static arrive in ancient Egypt to try and free the slaves from the pharaoh.
Listen, Joshua. Sometimes a no means maybe. I'll grant you that.
Why don't you have a seat right over here?
Moses parts the computer-generated sea, and then Joshua gets trampled by sheep and falls into it.
Joshua, I want you to pitch your tent next to mine from now on.
Do me a favor and have a seat right over there on that stool.
And the day is saved.
Please stop.
I don't care about Grace right now. I'm hungry.
I'm sick of this. First it's the car, now it's dinner.
Wine.
It's the best Christian hip-hop I've heard since Ben Seawald was spitting bars or whatever.
Anybody here believe that? I presided over 3 cases where so-called preachers were praying.
Ted, you're tripping.
Shut up!
Ah, Allison's choice. This one is so bad that it's actually genius. So, Miranda Cosgrove is pregnant and wants to have an abortion.
She says the father is her father. Can you imagine? Okay, so here's my card. You call me when you need me. You have such exotic eyes. You wouldn't have a little Asian in you, would you?
Huh? Long after she's filling out forms that a pro-life janitor starts harassing her. Oh no, this guy's actually supposed to be God. He's very dramatic.
Are you okay?
My babies. They're killing my babies.
Maybe like, you a doctor or something?
He's a good man. We've been having some good conversations.
Lately I've been ducking and driving, issues that were strangling me.
Then she gets special attention from her doctor, and she's this caricature of a bitter, lonely feminist obsessed with her cat. It's bad.
I help girls like you, like me, to become masters of their universe, to control their own lives and bodies, their own destinies, and to never have their lives reduced to some man's needs or some whining child who will frankly one day bleed you dry and then leave you like everyone else.
I never actually see what Allison decides to do. I give this one a 9 out of 50, which is how many states are going to outlaw abortion if Roe versus Wade is overturned. I'm in love with a church girl. This movie stars Adrian Bylon of Cheetah Girls fame and Ja Rule, a failed businessman and dollar store DMX.
So you go to church on Sundays then?
Yes, sir. Every Sunday.
So, what was your religion again?
I guess I'm Christian, but we don't really like to call it that.
Right. I like to say, men of faith. Well, in your case, it'd be women of faith.
Exactly. So you know exactly what I'm talking about, right?
Eventually, Vanessa sees the bad boy side of Miles and ends up witnessing a shootout between him and some other gangsters.
Would you like to tell me why there was a gun in your car?
When Miles goes to meet Vanessa's parents, they are very rude to him.
We have been praying for a godly man for Vanessa. Miles, are you that godly man?
Vanessa.
Your 2 breasts are like 2 fawns. My head is drenched with dew. I've taken off my robe. Must I put it on again?
Engaged, and tragedy strikes. Vanessa is in an off-screen car crash and is in a coma.
You want to send me to hell? Book the flight!
She shows 0 signs of being in a car accident or having any lasting brain damage, and everything is great. Miles officially converts, they get married, have a baby, and waste 2 hours of my life. The end.
Baby, do you know what equally yoked means?
I'm glad you liked it, baby.
You ready, babe? Okay, well, babe, the kids are ready.
You gotta understand, babe, when it comes to protecting you, do anything, babe.
Baby, I don't want you to lose your soul. Babe.
Babe, I don't know what the Bible's saying. No question, babe.
I believe you, baby. Okay, babe.
Look,
is
right
it
here.
set?
Happy birthday, baby.
And that just shows that Satan sucks, and he hates marriages, and he hates godly marriages, and he does not want to see us succeed. And if we're gonna try and help other people have godly marriages, he's gonna try even harder to tear us apart. So suicidal thoughts or any mental illness, quote unquote. Yes, guys, it is a mental illness. I get it. It shows up on CAT scans. I know all of that stuff. There's scientific proof that depression is a legit thing. Well, guess what? There's also biblical proof, scientific proof that demons are real.
Created to need a meat help. Is that what it's called?
No, help meat.
I don't know. Meat help's funny, though.
Help your meat.
Exactly. They're onto something. They didn't even know it. Hashtag meat help.
And remember to consensually smash that like and subscribe button.
And only if you've had enough time to properly evaluate whether or not you truly want to consent.
Because I can only remember half of a sentence before I have to look up. I'm not good at remembering lines.
The THC has melted your brain cells.
Smoke weed every day.
She's the reason why the Iowa caucuses couldn't get their results. I also subscribe to the common idea that dark skin of black people is a curse. And of course, they call for the death of homosexuals, as well as believe that women are property and must be subservient. Wow, they sure do look happy and not dead inside at all.
Depending on the maturity of the child, but it's at that age that they make that decision that they want to be here. They want to commit their lives to the same purpose, because it's a commitment.
My favorites are Give Me Your Heart, Son, Thoughts for Young Men, and The Little Boy Down the Road.
You have a seat right over there.
I'm going to take this opportunity right now to make fun of his disturbingly wide stance as he officiated a wedding. He looks like he's got a wedgie and he's trying to not so discreetly work it out of his ass without using his hands.
Is that our sin nature has a crush on their sin nature.
We want moms to be able to go out in the workforce. In fact, we'd rather have both parents gone and the children in the hands of the state. And again, that just traces right back to Marxism and socialism.
And 1/4 of the people that should be here are not here because they were aborted.
So, what is Doug up to these days? Well, I shit you not, he makes historical reenactment videos and hangs out with burlesque dancers. I had the glorious ringside seat to the very first romantic kiss in the life of both the groom and the bride. This is now the 4th or 5th time in my life that I have had the privilege of watching such a first kiss as an officiating minister to a wedding ceremony. Here are my conclusions. First, these beautiful kisses are worth 10,000 sermons. They are an antidote to the cynicism of the age. They are instructive and inspiring. They give hope to mothers and fathers, young men and ladies, and the children we hope will grow up in the purity before the Lord. We are all better off as a community of saints when a pure woman marries a pure man. Our job as parents, elders, friends, relatives is easier because of this godly example. Second, these kinds of kisses are victory kisses. Against all odds, the couple has run the race to the finish line. They have won the first great race of their lives. Victory is sweet. Fourth, they are also covenant kisses. They represent the blessing of God on the faithfulness of parents, their children, and the children yet to be born who will drink deeply from the testimonies of those who went before them. Finally, they are biblical kisses. I call them biblical kisses because these kisses, as much as any part of the wedding ceremony, other than the vows themselves, restore the biblical imagery of the marriage covenant to its beautiful representation of the eternal, holy groom and his spotless bride. Body and soul, bride and groom have kept themselves only for each other. Gloriavale is an intentional Christian community, which is a nice way of saying that it's a compound. These weddings involve a great feast, musical numbers, and most importantly, dissociation on the part of the participants. Then, the couple is whisked off in a motorized cart powered by a small child to a special room on the property. It is here where the marriage is consummated, and then they report back to the reception.
And we go off and consummate that marriage, come back and have a meal.
I heard some type of bump downstairs in the night. Bump downstairs in the night.
Are you sick? You know, and she
What
says,
did she say?
she said, no, I'm not sick. I feel great. And I said, okay, then tell me the truth. Are you really an American? And she said, yeah, I'm from Tennessee. When you decide, I'm going to eat, but you're not at God's hunger point, you've listened to Satan.
So I didn't realize it until after I edited the video, but you hear that song? That's one of the songs from Shrek.
For example, I heard some type of bump downstairs in the night, and I hugged my pillow and I said, Gwen, go check it out.
Right, and he made me go, like, look and see if that was a burglar or not.
I was scared to death, but she went and reconned the area and everything was fine.
He raps like a discount Hoodie Allen, and for some reason he looks like he's being held at gunpoint here. So please check out his other music after you watch this video because they are piss your pants hilarious.
Years time, are we all working for Asians?
You're still trying to figure out how you failed me.
You not to choke me. What kind of father does that?
And listen, I had to get your attention.
You got a lot to learn, Daddy.
Mine.
These booklets also teach things like how to dress modestly and how to style your hair. There's even a booklet about what to do if you get sexually assaulted by a family member. Wisdom booklets are supposed to be taught to all family members regardless of age or comprehension level, which is great because even the little ones are exposed to a large vocabulary.
Let's spell it together. Ready? D-E-S-T-I-T-U-T-E spells destitute.
Praying and talking for a little while, and I was just wondering if you wanted to make it official and if you wanted to officially court me.
Did you say at some point that you had practiced with your hand?
So I was thinking, you know what? I wonder what it feels like. So I practiced on my hand. I think practicing on my hand was just to see what it felt.
And it taught us everything we know. And so if I give this to you, you'll know everything we know.
I think I kind of understand how it works.
Yeah.
I think I learned that.
It's kind of like Legos.
Yeah.
Those are funny looking glassware, isn't it?
Has Jim Bob ever used drugs?
No. Jamal has never used drugs.
There's been a few times I've been sick. I've taken some Tylenol or aspirin. No, I've never taken marijuana.
First off, we have our prayer closet over here. We designed this so that this would be the space when somebody needed a quiet place to spend time alone with the Lord. That would be.
Jill and I love to kiss.
The way God ordained it all, Josh becomes the authority at the wedding. You know, he becomes her authority, not me. And that's the way God designed the transfer of authority.
Are you nervous about the kiss?
Not really. I'm looking forward to it, though.
Looking forward to it? It's your first kiss, so like, I need to give you some pointers as far as what to do.
Yeah?
Since I've kissed a couple of boys in my lifetime.
You have more than one.
Imagine that, right? Yeah. He's gonna have love marks all over him, but he won't mind.
God, I wish I was dead.
You have hard times, and all others are gone. I will be there when the troubles have come.
I saw Jessa Duggar wearing maxi skirts and flip-flops, so I bought maxi skirts and flip-flops.
I poured my life into Jessa.
Anybody here believe that?
Pregnancy cuck.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say it again.
That's fine.
Hey guys, my name's Marjorie Jackson, and I have some Duggar insider news for you. Now, I bet you're all wondering, what is it? You guessed it, it's a courtship. Who is courting? It's one of the boys, and it's not John David. It's not Joseph. Not Jedediah. Did I skip someone in it? Josiah! Josiah!
That's right. Margie and I just recently started a courtship relationship.
Well, what do you know?
That's the thing, and I think each person has a different structure. Obviously, I had all my good looks and all that on my side.
I'm a Christian, and I will stand up for religious liberties. I'm pro-life, and I will be an advocate for the unborn.
Hopefully, they will all lay low for the rest of the year, and I won't have to make another video chronicling their scandals.
Down with the moral majority, 'cause I wanna be the minority.
Seriously though, the newspaper the next morning had this to say: Garland Falwell is dead. Thus his career of terrorizing the police and populace was brought to an abrupt close. In contrast, Falwell built a successful church out of an old Donald Duck bottling factory. Although that's a little surprising considering that Donald Duck hates to wear pants. Gotta hand it to him. Falwell put his money where his mouth is. Well, he put other people's money where his mouth is.
Having our own grief and wrestling with, like, why, God, why would you do it this way? And just being so raw and honest, like Zach and I, in our own emotions, and going to the scripture and trying to, like, there aren't answers.
Also, this has been weighing heavily on my heart. What would you guys like to be called, my followers? I was thinking Jennonites. If that's too blasphemous, let me know, but sound off in the comments below. And also, in middle school, I was bullied. They used to call me Big Boy, and I would spend hours plucking my facial hair over a bare light bulb and a 20 times magnification mirror. And check out these clips of Kristen getting distracted and then coming back down to earth before it's her time to speak.
That kind of encompasses
not being jealous of
what I find somewhat, obviously described in different ways.
And us snarkers will never forget the time that Bethy liked a comment that was critical of Kristen on their channel. Does she not realize that when a creator likes a comment, it has a special little heart on it?
Kristen and Bethany are from the San Antonio area of Texas, and they were raised in a conservative Christian family, as you might expect. According to the legend and their own words, which they will tell you many times, they used to be models. Apparently didn't like that, and so they decided the next logical jump was a YouTube ministry for some reason. They give advice on biblical femininity, and they're often the target of controversy for their hateful statements and exceptionally tone-deaf apology.
Last year, Dave and Bethy went to Austria to check out the land of their ancestors. They did not leave without getting a pic with dear old Grandpa's grave. This grandpa, though, happens to have been a Nazi mayor in the 40s. And I know they can't control what their ancestors have done, but it just strikes me as a little off color, and it's also notable that they refuse to talk about this scandal and they will delete any mention of it in their comments.
I remember actually seeing this picture one time, and it was emojis, you know, like the little smiling emojis, and it said a woman's day, and it was all these emojis from like happy to crying to happy to sad, you know, and it was just absolutely hilarious. And then it said a man's day, and it was just like the same emoji the whole time. And as hilarious as that is, so often it's true. Sometimes I feel like we as girls just feel like our emotions are out of control. They're just crazy. We can't get a grip on them. You know, when we're feeling sad, we're just like, bah! And then I can be a little more teary-eyed than she is. And sometimes I feel like dramatic. I feel like dramatic.
The act of sex is your body making a promise.
Yeah.
And so it's schizophrenic to make a promise with your body without making a promise, a covenant with your mind and your heart.
You know, I still to this day, I don't know, like, why call yourself a Christian?
Ladies and gentlemen, non-binary friends, I don't do this often, but this administration would like you to know that we stand. Thank you.
You're gonna hear the truth about the sodomites.
He often throws things, jumps on his podium, and is always trying to knock his poor coffee over.
Kids do not have the guts to stand up to reprobates. I'll stand up to them. Unlike most preachers that are a spiritual babe in Christ. Hello, darkness, picked on by the fags. You know what? They don't bully me. Take me on, huh? Bunch of filthy sodomites and queers. I'm the one who has the guts to preach against them.
Anderson has also expressed that men who pee sitting down are not real men, and this has earned him the nickname the pissing preacher on many snark sites.
Reading the Bible, and I kept seeing this phrase, and I studied this phrase in the Bible. It's used 6 times, and it's used by God. It's used out of the mouth of God. Have you ever seen that phrase in the Bible? Put up your hand. Him that pisseth against the wall. You see that in the Bible. It's used 6 times. What is he talking about? All the men. Because there's a difference between men and women. Men piss against the wall. Women don't. And God said a man is somebody who pisses against the wall. Why are you preaching this? Because it's in the Bible.
How the kings of the earth and the sorcerers manipulate the pharmakia, the drugs, to drug the public and make us drunk on the blood of the innocents. Pepsi puts the dead baby parts in. It's like the golden child where they're trying to, get him to eat the bad things so they can, like spiritually get at him. But the point is they're sitting there point blank saying that they traffic in our souls. That's what they want. The globalists want our minds. They're not after treasure and power. Their minions are. The high-level Luciferians aren't even into materialism. They want our souls.
Exactly right. Scooby-Doo, you got a ghost. Have you noticed the ghost doesn't make contact with the ground? Scooby and Shaggy, they're running and their feet are hitting the ground, and the ghost is just kind of like, or sometimes they'll kind of have a little bobbing motion. But what you'll notice is that ghost is not making any contact with the ground.
Funny enough, I myself was recently ordained by the Universalist Life Church, so despite both of our titles being similar, and I am also just an idiot off the street like Anderson, I must ask you, who would you rather listen to? Falwell also famously said that 9/11 was caused by pagans, abortionists, and feminists.
Well, the ACLU's got to take a lot of blame for this.
Oh, yeah.
And I know I'll hear from them for this, but throwing God, or successfully with the help of the federal court system, throwing God out of the public square, out of the schools. The abortionists have got to bear some burden for this, because God will not be mocked, and when we destroy 40 million little innocent babies, we make God mad. I really believe that the pagans and the abortionists and the feminists and the gays and the lesbians who are actively trying to make that an alternative lifestyle, the ACLU, People for the American Way, all of them who tried to secularize America, I point the finger in their face and say, you helped this happen.
How's that look? Bad. Okay, we're gonna take it off. This is a physical representation of Jerry Falwell's career. I'll just play it for you.
What was up with that picture on Instagram?
It was weird because she's pregnant, so she couldn't get her pants zipped, and so I was like trying to I had on a pair of jeans that I haven't worn in a long time, so I couldn't get mine zipped either, and so I just put my belly out like hers, and it was just, she's my wife's assistant, and
she's like, hey, would you want to go back to my hotel room? And as a single 20-year-old, I'm like, yeah, of course. And then she's like, but my husband wants to watch. And immediately I thought it was a bit strange, and I backed off. She's like, oh no, but he's not going to do anything. He's just going to sit in the corner, and he just wants to watch, and it's his thing. He's like, no, just go for it.
And
so
this would then
that's how it
happen
began.
on other occasions as well, and what would he be doing?
Right. I mean, I don't want to go too much into the details. I don't want to go too much into the details, but he enjoyed watching.
Save a horse, ride a cowboy. Everybody says, save a horse, ride a cowboy.
I know that one. Anna Duggar's brother. That's a crib. Pass.
One day you're going to shake your fist in God's face. And you're going to say, God, why didn't you warn me? And he's going to say, you sat there and you made fun of Jim Baker all those years.
Jim Baker is human garbage and can go kick rocks all the way to end times. Keep our elf-looking bitch ass. Out here looking like a gremlin that somebody fed communion wafers after midnight.
As surely as I'm speaking by the Spirit of God, that is a word for a person right now. That is God penetrating your heart. It's burning on the inside of you, and you need to make a vow of faith of $1,000. Oh, Bob, couldn't you say 25? No! Because they don't have that old programming of religion. Well, this isn't the way we do it in my church. Forget your church. I'm talking about what God says. And if you want the kind of miracles that are in the Bible, you're going to have to do what God said to do. And I've got the faith to believe they'll come to pass. This is hot soil for anyone that's got the faith to sow into it right now.
I've got burgers made of beans, they're never fried. Saba chips and salsa to keep me warm way deep inside. Oh yeah, I guess you'd say, Jim and Lori, help me be prepared today for end times. I'm talking about times.
You do dress very flamboyantly. People have called you a queen, drag queen, before. It's true, right? What do you say to those people who say, oh, you know, she dresses up too much?
I say everybody must be who they are. Young people don't ever let anyone make you something that you're not.
That's
you have the right to be who you are.
I can't talk right now. I'm doing hot girl.
Fuck being good, I'm a bad bitch. I'm sick of motherfuckers trying to tell me how to live.
Whores in this house. There's some whores in this house. There's some whores in this house.
I said certified freak. 7 days a week. Wet ass P word. Make that pull-out game weak. Yeah, you effing with some wet ass P word. Bring a bucket and a mop for this wet ass P word. Give me everything you've got for this wet ass P word. Beat it up N-word, catch a charge. Extra large and extra hard. Put this P word right in your face. Swipe your nose like a credit card.
So, for some reason, I get a bunch of, like, Duggar fans on my Duggar video, and the one thing they all like to do, besides call me fat, is they bitch about my yellow eyeshadow. And I even had one lady be like, I don't take advice from anybody who wears yellow eyeshadow. So, in keeping with the theme of WAP, yellow and pink, and because fuck that lady, I'm going to be doing yellow eyeshadow today.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains, majesties.
Because being classic and being conservative is a perfect duet. They really make each other better. So I'm really excited to share with you guys what being classic means, why Let's Be Classic is my motto, and why being classic and conservative are the perfect combination. You can have a little and get a little bit buzzed, but I don't think getting drunk is really a classic thing that a woman should do. Instead of saying you're a person who has liberal views or you're a person who has conservative views, and I think it's really important to talk to people as people. So I would probably bring some traditional values and conservative values into my site, and I definitely am going to be talking about my opinions, but I don't think that that should preclude people who have differing opinions from watching and from getting involved in the discussion. And then Taylor Swift decided that she was going to become an SJW. Now, for those of you who don't know what an SJW is, that's a social justice warrior. I did not like her as much after this happened. It really felt like she polarized her followers into liberals and conservatives. And if you are not a liberal, she didn't want you listening to her. Well, all I can say is that I didn't really want to listen to her anymore. When I say let's be classic, to me, that's a lifestyle. And for me, that classic lifestyle is built on my conservative lifestyle. My goal for Classically Abby isn't for it to be an only conservative woman's space, but a place where conservative women feel comfortable voicing their views.
A safe space for conservatives. Why didn't I think of that?
Of course, there are men who are attracted to women on those two sides of the spectrum, women who are anorexic, women who are obese. But generally, if you are feeling sensitive about your body, as long as you're within those ranges of normal, most men are going to be attracted to you. They didn't know how to handle the fact that I was in a dress and they were all in sweatpants and sweatshirts.
And I have compiled a list of everything that is classic and not classic. Being a wife, flattering clothes with feminine details, classic art, smelling nice, getting a haircut, Audrey Hepburn, wall art, red nails on Valentine's Day, twinkly lights, fake plants and candles, Kate Middleton, having strong values, pearls, breast health, Nikki Haley, having a signature scent, decorating your home, Margaret Thatcher, color palettes, reading, especially reading in a coffee shop, knitting, being a good hostess, plastic surgery, if you've had a baby, cooking, having a good relationship with your mother, gardening, singing, jewelry making, carrying around a fancy glass when you drink, going to Disney World during a pandemic, Shakespeare, wearing a watch that is not digital, a Fitbit is okay, Taylor Swift before she became an SJW, being good with children, drinking with your husband, and butter dishes.
And I think having a butter dish is just so classic.
Things that are not classic is a little shorter, chipped nails, hooking up, abortion, partying in college, slovenly appearance, wine o'clock, violence at the Capitol, self-care, unshaved legs, interfaith marriages, burping, calling yourself a victim, being distracted on your phone, being drunk in public, and wearing high heels at a basketball game.
Boy, that sure was a great video that you made where you told me how to be poor and why socialism is bad and stuff. I sure liked the part where you told me that I could not afford a $58 sweatshirt because that is too expensive for poor people like me. I had saved up the money to buy it, but now that I know poor people can't, and that AOC is a socialist demon lady, that I will give that money to the church. I do not go to a church, so if someone can please tell me how to give money to one of them, that would be very nice. Keep making great classic content about sweatshirts.
Please post that.
With the Plath family.
Ethan dating her? Was that the question? All right, I would love to clear the record on this. No, I never dated her.
Much to someone's dismay. Okay.
Yeah, Jill Rodriguez had her sights on me.
And the siblings are blocking in, and here's the bluff call, right here.
I guess we'll probably not see them until they're 18. I love that.
Because that was all she had. And watch the desperation. This is where it flips. This is where Barry loses his mind.
She says it's up to Barry, and he says, you're the neck that turns his head, and everybody knows it.
Burn it down, Kingslayer. In spite of all the vitriol. I don't even understand. You Barry fucking Cleaver looking bitch. Look your son in the eye when he's talking to you.
So say hi to Olivia, and immediately they start fucking dashing off.
And here it is. Boom.
You are not gonna walk over my wife.
1, 2, 3. Ding.
Stop the match.
Done. Somebody stop the damn match.
Oh, I love it. We love to see it.
Even your own daughter your fucking 9-year-old daughter's calling you off. I love you. Very particularly. You can fuck off.
And I just want to say, Olivia, I need some photos taken, okay? Hit me up. I'll pay you, don't worry.
They will throw around terms like cult-like to kind of smear it. Talk about that in relation to IHOP. Is IHOP a cult?
Yes. Yes, I got the question.
The International House of Prayer comes from a long-standing American tradition of strip mall houses of worship, usually located between a Payless and a We Be Smokin'.
Fire from the heavens. Yes, God. God, we cry out, Lord, for that unrelenting fire. God, the unrelenting fire of your jealous love. Let us have a heart that is undivided before you. God.
There were sensual escapades with God, a former intern says, meaning that some people's private imaginings turned explicit after exposure to IHOP's bridegroom Christ. He says that an instructor told her, God is using his word to kiss you. The intern heard stories of IHOPers fantasizing about having orgies with Jesus and sex with God.
They've already changed the definition of gender. A young lady is now sharing a bathroom in a public school with a young man, with a young man's bathroom because of the gender change.
1 John 2 and to the 4. The servants of the WBNC are at the door.
Their website, slogan, creed, and battle cry is God hates.
Just gay faggotry that I just was not thinking we were going to run into here.
Okay, talk about the tsunami, 9/11, and Hurricane Katrina.
You said that you rejoiced
and
in
dead
the-
soldiers and IEDs. Thank God for 9/11. Thank God for Katrina.
But I mean, Glee's quite a gay show.
Exactly. If you were gonna say, don't watch that show because there are a bunch of fags on there, can't listen to music, can't watch TV, can't go anywhere.
Westboro picked fights with everybody and maintained beefs with the most random people, including the King of Sweden.
You know what else you could be besides a fag to be in trouble with God and be included in that sign? If you're not just a fag, but what else?
Swedish?
I am living for this. I'm not gonna lie. We should bring this back. What happened?
It's Fundie Fridays on the track.
I feel like I can sum them up in the statements of slay girls slay, you're a goddess, you're a queen, you can do no wrong, you can do anything, absolutely anything.
Casual hookups, drugs, and alcohol.
Travel the world, have 3 dogs, you know, anything, absolutely anything.
Don't care about your beauty. Destroy your beauty. Beauty is a social construct.
It's about having a messy purse, a messy car, dirty dishes in the sink constantly, dirty laundry all over the house, and just dirt, mess, clutter, everything, everywhere. That is not ladylike.
200 years ago, the most beautiful woman that you would see or have in your mind might have been your second cousin. Anything, absolutely anything. You know, just like this crazy, crazy intense belief that anything is possible.
Imagine yourself as if you had a set of butterfly or angel wings on your back. And the key is you're going to want to keep those angel wings upright and not hunched forward. You never want your shoulder blades to be angled like this. You always want them pulled back.
I don't know what book she's reading, but I personally get all of my gender theory from Professor Fred Durst of Limp Bizkit University. So I believe in all of the genders.
I think I know what you did last night. If you send me $1,000, I won't tell your wife.
His name sounds so familiar. Oh!
Ted Haggard seemed to be a devoted husband. He was married with 5 children and pastor of Colorado's New Life Church, but he was living a double life.
He had a relationship with me. We had gay sex.
When Mike Jones, a self-confessed male prostitute, went public with claims that Haggard had paid for sex and drugs,
Becky Fisher is still around and she's still sporting that same haircut.
You can't get rid of me, bitch. I'm not going nowhere. I'm not going no fucking where.
What's your name? Allison? You look great with that tape on your mouth.
So you saw her and you just felt like God told you to go over there.
Yeah, I waited a little bit, you know, to be sure, you know what I mean?
Kept coming to your heart.
And afterwards I felt like I had picked the right one.
Okay, that's sweet.
All right, good job, Rachel. Way to be obedient.
Can you pick me up? I'm scared.
Excuse me, are y'all with the cult?
I'm fucking God, you fucking whores.
Yeah, this is it.
Amy claims to have been reincarnated as many important historical figures, including Marilyn Monroe, Jesus Christ, Pocahontas, Harriet Tubman, Cleopatra, Queen Elizabeth, Pennywise, and Count Chocula. Some of those I made up. You'll have to guess which ones.
No, I'm gonna stay in here and suck my dick by myself, and it's gonna be okay. No! I told you a fucking solution, whore! No one is fucking responding or listening to me as God. No! We're gonna suck our dicks.
And if there's ever a biopic created about Amy's life, you just know that there is only one actress out there who has the chops to play all these different people of culture and race. Amy claims that Donald Trump was her father in a previous incarnation. I guess that must be where Tiffany's been this whole time. Men must sit down to pee. Don't tell Steven Anderson that.
Men piss against the wall. Women don't. And God said a man is somebody who pisses against the wall. Why are you preaching this? Because it's in the Bible.
Why is anyone listening or paying attention to this woman? Why do they think she's Mother God? What has she done to demonstrate that? I mean, I've been shouted at by a lot of former McDonald's managers in my day, and I have never felt the need to worship any of them.
Mom is a no on drugs. We are not allowed to do drugs. She doesn't do drugs, and she has kicked people out of this field for doing drugs.
Got it.
In September of 2020, Love Has Won was featured on an episode of Dr. Phil, and as much as I'd love to show you clips of the episode, I can't because of copyright law. And to be honest, I'm kind of scared of him.
You're ugly, you're disgusting, I'm gonna kill you, give me $200.
Surrender when you are starting from God! And I will always love you!
We all kill God. The guilt doesn't exist. Doesn't exist.
I love that guy on the right. He just reminds me of the wizard from Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Long before Bank of America was sponsoring floats at Pride and Chipotle had a Trixie Mattel branded burrito, being gay or being associated with gay people could be a potential career ruiner. So it was especially random and left field when in 1998, controversial fundamentalist pastor turned political pundit Jerry Falwell accused Tinky Winky, a British children's show character who was purely fictional, of being a homosexual.
Tinky Winky is the paunchy purple member of the latest Fab Four to launch an English invasion. Teletubbies are a PBS hit with the toddler set, but the Reverend Jerry Falwell has launched a warning in the latest issue of his National Liberty Journal, telling parents Tinky Winky is gay.
No. Parents, be very careful what your children are watching. They watch 20 to 35 hours of television weekly. Be sure that subtle and bad images are not being planted in their minds.
Tinky Winky is a boy, but Falwell's magazine says the fact he carries a purse suggests he's homosexual. Falwell's journal also points out Tinky Winky's purple and sports an inverted triangle on his head, both symbols of gay pride.
And even if Tinky Winky is canonically gay, that has zero bearing on a child's future sexual orientation. I was born in 1993. I watched Teletubbies as a kid. This is my Tinky Winky plush from my childhood. And none of that made me bisexual. That was the Mummy.
Brought to WTHI Radio, and Dennis, you're on the Mike Pence Show. Hi.
Hey, Mike. Yeah, this whole situation you're talking about reminds me about this time I tried to round a bunch of hogs up into a truck.
Wow.
Yeah, no, all them hogs was, how hogs is real smart, and like they had basically had a democracy against me, and so they were trying to put me in the pit, and that's not how it's gonna be. I ain't gonna deal with hogs like that.
You were given, I'm just looking at that roster, so you got, which is below, you got honorable discharge, you got general, you got undesirable.
So, it's kind of like one of them kangaroo courts, but with pigs, because, kangaroos, they don't really have they're based more on like an anarchy system of justice, whereas pigs, it's real military.
Okay.
So they tried to give me an undesirable discharge, and then they locked me in the trailer for 3 months, and they called it a brig.
You got 3 months in the brig.
You're damn right, I got 3 months in that trailer, had to live on stale hog feed.
I would assume before your discharge.
No, that was after the discharge, but that was my own choice because I wanted to live in there, and also I did not have money for another apartment.
What do you think about the justice in this case? Was she treated too harshly, or?
I don't think she was treated harshly enough. If it'd been them pigs, they'd have told Kelly Flynn to fuck off, and they'd have locked her in the truck like they did with me. See, I don't think you're getting it, Mike Pence. Them pigs is out for blood. If it'd been Kelly Flynn, she wouldn't have survived. I don't care about them fighter planes.
Got it. Well, it is interesting coming from your background that why do you think she got what she deserved here? I mean, you've said back in 1958 you went through the same thing. Have you learned things since then that convince you that of the error of your ways and her ways here?
That exactly did happen, and I did the exact same thing. I ended up sleeping with a superior officer's wife, and that whole thing caused me nothing but trouble. Not as much as them pigs, though.
What do you think about what Trent Lott and others have said here? Senator Trent Lott said that the Air Force needs to get real about that.
I think what they need is that Trent Lott needs to spend some time with those hogs. He needs to get locked in there, eat that stale pig food like I did. That'd humble him up.
And this is different. I'm trying to peg the right years. I don't know if the... I don't think the draft was in effect when you were in the service.
Well, the draft wasn't in effect back then when I was in the service, but in the pig service, but they don't really draft. It's just like you show up to Ted's place and say, "Hey, you need help moving them hogs," and he's like, "Yeah, I need help moving them hogs." So that was really all that was.
Well, it sounds to me, sir, like you are a man of tremendous judgment, and I really congratulate you for the call and for your obvious your obvious growth in character since those days in your life. I really and truly offer my thanks to you, sir. Good to hear from you, and happy Memorial Day.
All right, you take it easy, Mike. I'm going to go smoke more meth.
I execute judgment on you, COVID-19. Burn. You destroyer. You killer. You get out. You break your power. You get off this nation. Burn. I execute judgment on you, Satan. Burn. And the United States of America, burn, is healed and well again.
You can't manage that today.
Right.
This dope-filled world.
Right.
And get in a long tube with a bunch of demons.
Right. That's exactly the
And
point.
it's deadly.
You said that you don't like to fly commercial because you don't want to get into a tube with a bunch of demons. Do you really believe that human beings are demons?
No, I do not. And don't you ever say I did.
Kenneth loves laying hands on people. Check out this clip where he literally knocks over a man in a wheelchair.
In the name of Jesus. Thank you, Lord. COVID-19. COVID-19. I blow the wind of God. The wind of God. On you. On you. You are destroyed forever. You are destroyed forever. And you'll never be back.
So since I'm a reverend, I only find it appropriate that you guys take my first communion with me. So is that not what you're supposed to do?
In fact, glory to God, I get so turned on over this, I can hardly talk.
And then I would do the same. Now we've mixed our blood.
That's right. Which is his and which is mine. Now our blood has symbolically has been mixed here.
Media said Joe Biden's president. Ha 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 ha.
There are people never receiving anything from God at all. They are shaken, and it gets, oh God, I can't even go outside. That's good. Stay in the house. Turn on the air conditioner and watch that demon die. Watch it die right in front of you. Just get so muggy you can't stand it.
You instead of committing suicide, go commit life.
But on behalf of the millions of women and husbands and sons and daughters that are encouraged and blessed by Michelle Duggar, we've put together a little thank you. And some dear ladies and very close friends in our community came together by the scores and scores and scores, and they wanted to just represent the millions of people who are grateful for Michelle Duggar. So would you kindly dim the lights while we share with you, Michelle, this very brief but very sincere, heartfelt thank you video prepared here in San Antonio just for you.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you, Mrs. Duggar, for being a godly older sister in the Lord.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Michelle.
Ein Buch von Kristen Clark und Bethany Beal. Jetzt auch auf Deutsch erhältlich unter
girldefined.de.
That is like very exciting, and you allow that to do. So you're not like you're not like independent, you're not like trying to do your own thing, so you allow to be led.
It's really like the ends are super split, it's dry,
brittle.
it's big.
Oh.
And so for us, as we're preparing for literally this vlog, we were struggling to love one another.
We might still be struggling.
And so we were getting into arguments, we were getting snippy with each other, and we were mad and angry at each other literally right before filming this.
And a lot of times we do really genuinely love each other, but there are moments where you just feel like you want to kick the person into next week.
The groups like the Eagles said it best. What they said was in one of their songs, if you have nothing to believe in, what you do is you take it to the limit one more time.
My family. Pretty scary, huh?
My idea of happiness is killing things.
The Robertson boys have a very distinct style, and in fact, they look like every male member of my family.
This is what's important to me right now.
Thought that you were gonna be there.
My heart won't let me pass the past.
An early Donald Trump supporter, Willie actually opened the Republican convention last summer.
We need a president who will have our back.
You don't have to wear sweatshirts that say spiritual gangster every day. Shoot, I don't do that. I wear t-shirts and shorts half the time.
Well, son, I'm gonna give you some river rat counseling here. Make sure that she can cook a meal. You need to eat some meals that she cooks. Check that out. Make sure she carries her Bible. That'll save you a lot of trouble down the road. And if she picks your ducks, now that's a woman. They got to where they're getting hard to find. Mainly because these boys are waiting till they get to be about 20 years old before they marry them. Look, you wait till they get to be 20 years old, the only picking that's going to take place is your pocket. You got to marry these girls when they're about 15 or 16, they'll pick your ducks. You need to check with mom and dad about that, of course.
In fact, there's a boy who was in college who wrote you a poem once, and in his poem he said, "Roses are red, violets are blue. When I was a kid, I got spanked because of you." And I was that boy. No, I'm not kidding. I'm a little too old for that.
There's a whole generation that would like to catch me in a blind alley somewhere.
I'm going to be like you, Dad. You know I'm going to be like you. And the cat's in the cradle and the silver spoon, the little boy blue and the man in the moon. When you coming home, Dad? Well, I don't know when, but we'll get together then, son.
All right. Okay, here's my first question. What was Tammy Faye Baker's favorite drink?
Diet Coke.
All right, I knew that was easy. What song did Josh Duggar sing to his wife Anna on their wedding day?
Loyalty song. Too easy.
What are the 12 genders of Professor Fred Durst's gender theory?
Ladies. Gentlemen. Person.
Wrong! Now he's gonna get it, and I'm gonna get you too!
No! Why are you doing this?
Because you never subscribe!
For the lips of a strange woman drop as honeycomb, but her end is bitter as wormwood. Her feet go down to death, her steps take hold on hell. Did you hear that? Her feet go down to death, her steps take hold on hell. That is talking about the harlot. That's talking about someone that's walking around dressed terribly into every single guy that she sees. If any guy is looking for a good, godly girl, you go to Proverbs 31 and it gives you a detailed description of what you should be looking for. Okay? It's that simple.
Nettles and Applewhite hit it off instantly, and this might partially be due to the fact that Nettles had talked to a psychic who told her to look out for somebody who was tall and pale and had blonde hair. So I guess she's lucky that she ran into Applewhite and not, say, Ellen DeGeneres.
I'll tell you about a kingdom level beyond here, and if you want to go there, then you have to follow me because I'm the guy who's got the key at the moment. And it requires that you, if you move into that evolutionary kingdom, that you leave behind everything of human ways, human behavior, human ignorance.
They believed that Mary was actually impregnated by an alien, and that's how Jesus came to be. And if that sounds familiar, it's because that's what happened to Pascal Curious in The Sims 2. Applewhite was a huge fan of Star Trek and encouraged members to watch it, with one member even kind of sassily quoting it in their suicide tape.
And one last thing we'd like to say is 39 to beam up. Thank you.
And fun fact, Star Trek actress Nichelle Nichols, her brother was actually a longtime member of Heaven's Gate.
And breaking away doesn't mean that, I'm going to go live in some place with this little cult and I'll, spend time on weekends or at least on holidays with the family that I left because they're my no. It means that you leave that world behind. You even become another individual. It means that even the mind that you had as a human is aborted.
Applewhite even kicked out a very long-time member because he was starting to be attracted to him and he didn't want the temptation. That man's name? Dick Jocelyn. No, I'm not even making that up. That is the single greatest unintentionally hilarious name that I have ever heard. Even worse, he didn't even die in the mass suicide. He was lucky enough to make it out, and then he died in the year 2000 from complications of AIDS. Live long and prosper, Dick Jocelyn.
Of all the souls I have encountered in my travels, his was the most human.
The group insisted on planning to graduate during the passing of the Hale-Bopp comet, which was scheduled to enter the Earth's atmosphere in 1997. This made a lot of sense to them, and it felt like what they had been working towards for 30 years was finally going to pay off. This passing of this comet was going to be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, so it just made sense to them. I just hope among all of the jokes and subreddits that people never forget the very real individuals who were harmed in this group, and I hope that we never let anything like this happen again.
How about that?
How gorgeous and how tall! My goodness!
Look at you! You are the one. You are so beautiful. Now, first, tell me who did the coat, who did the suit?
Okay, I got him on the street.
You're kidding!
I did. I love New York. And you can buy things down Chinatown.
Yes.
Yeah. I've been to Chinatown, honey.
Oh yeah.
And I got the suit. Listen, $60. The coat was $60.
You're kidding.
Let me tell you about my shoes. These are resale shop. They were $300 shoes, have been worn once. I got them for $30.
Oh my God! That's amazing!
Thousands, Tammy appeared on VH1's Surreal Life, which is how I learned about her. We're going to show you a clip from the show, and I want you all to make sure you notice Tammy Brown, because, surprise, surprise, she's another one of my heroes.
That's your responsibility.
Use your mouth. Yeah, pretty redhead back there.
Hey girl, I brought my Polaroid camera to add you to my collection. May I come up and take one with you?
You may.
All right, let's go.
Some of the men in drag were dressed up like me, and it's really funny because they look way better than I do.
Still a progressive Christian, and he runs a church called The Revolution. He's written several books, and he's even on YouTube, so I highly suggest that you check him out. Guess what? He even has a daughter named Minnie Faye, so that ought to bring a tear to your eye.
There's some things on the surface that have come to fruition that need to be addressed, and so I'm here to do that, and I'm here to put everything to rest once and for all. I am just here with my heart on my sleeve, and I'm here to put everything, like I said, to rest once and for all. I apologize to anyone who feels like they got scammed from me.
I'm sorry you felt scammed. She's not even trying.
I am so sorry from the bottom of my heart, but know that I am human, and along with that, I have an incredibly big heart for people and a passion for what I do. When I was offered the opportunity to help women all around the world, I jumped into this head first to something that at that time hadn't been quite tapped into yet.
Okay, I get it. You're trying to seem authentic and candid by doing the video this way, but for the love of God, you need to turn your dryer off before you film. I can literally hear the zippers smacking against the drum very clearly.
The only reason that I bring this up is to make a point that, in fact, does show that I, as a business owner, am doing things to the best of my ability to resolve any issues that may arise.
Jesus Christ, is the microphone inside the dryer?
Davis is with us in Raleigh. Hi, Davis. How are you?
My uncle, he wanted to open this pig farm, and he knew I had a lot of money because I'm in business with my daddy. We get raccoons and other small varmints out of people's houses. So, yeah, I used my savings and my, minor embezzlement money, and went ahead and loaned that to my uncle. That was about $21,000, so he could start up this hog farm. You know, you're supposed to trust family.
Agreed.
That can also cause, like, a lot of problems when your family is stupid, and that's what I learned, and I really should have thought it through, but my brother, he don't know nothing about pigs, and he's pretty dumb, and pigs are pretty smart animals. They defeated him nearly immediately in a battle of wits. The pigs actually were able to lock him in the trailer for 3 days. He only survived on stale hog food, and that was the beginning of our endeavor. So, long story short, made no money from that, absolutely broke, and due to some other failed business ventures I won't get into right now, I am in serious need of that $21,000 back.
Okay, and how old are you?
I'm 14 years old.
14?
Yes, sir. That's 1-4. I have survived a fortnight of winters. I don't know. I'm 14.
And how old is your brother?
Well, I have several brothers. The one in question is 16 years old, but I also have an 18-year-old brother, a 19-year-old brother, and a 64-year-old brother.
Dude, do you know how weird this sounds?
Now, see, Mr. Dave Ramsey, now you're just being rude. I don't understand why you got to talk like that. I call in for financial advice, help improve my mental health, my mental state, and you're sitting here judging my family. And I'll have you know that that is none of your business. And I love all of my brothers and uncles and cousins and various blood relations equally. And you need to stay on track.
Yeah, but where was like your father that did not allow you to go $21,000 into debt to your brother who's 16 when you're 14? Where's your father?
That my father understands that due to global warming, the raccoon removal business is likely not going to be around for the next 30 or so years. So I needed to pivot to a new line of work, and I figured hogs. Everybody likes bacon. There's going to be a market forever. So it was a logical decision. It was reasonable. Besides, Daddy was over in the McKinley place, and that's a 3-day job with all them crawl spaces they got.
Yeah, but how, he stood there and allowed it to go on. I don't have 14-year-olds doing $21,000 transactions under my roof, and I don't know what the flip's going on.
Now, listen, I'm going to have to correct you there for a second. He was not standing watching it happen. At the time, he was laying down because we were in the McKinley place, going through the crawl spaces, doing our professional job. You need to stop slandering my family. I'm not taking kindly to it. And second of all, it's not my fault or my daddy's fault that your children were not ready for business at reasonable marriage age, such as 14, which is what we believe in our religion.
You don't need a vintage car when you're 14 anyway. Not a lot you can do with it.
All right. How in the world did you know I had a vintage car? Mr. Ramsey, you're starting to make me real nervous, and I believe that you might be stalking me. I'm going to try and keep you on the line, get more information, but this is deeply concerning, and I believe you have gone too far.
This is a weird call. I'll just be truthful with you.
All right, Dave. Well, it's been good talking to you. I'm going to go smoke more meth.
There's like 1,000 militant looking, I can't video them because they're all inside the door staring at me, but they're a bunch of like militant looking lesbians that look like they want to murder me. brought a drag queen in and read books to children. One of the books was about a young robot looking for love that found love from old rusty robots. What does that speak to you? That speaks pedophilia. I'm so angry. I'm sorry. I'm so angry right now. I'm about to blow up.
Such as when she took smiling photos with a noted Klansman in the area and posted an ad on YouTube that got pulled for being too violent when she threatened tourists.
President Trump declared Antifa a domestic terrorist organization. I have a message for Antifa terrorists. Stay the hell out of Northwest Georgia. You won't burn our churches, loot our businesses, or destroy our homes. I'm Marjorie Green, and I approve this message.
She also received some personal praise from Daddy Trump around this. Reports have been scattered about what exactly MTG's role in the January 6th riots was, but we do know her first response was to call it a false flag operation by BLM and Antifa, so that should tell you what you need to know.
I'm Kirk Cameron!
I really just wanted to show off all of my, Christian stuff that I have. Yeah, I'm an atheist, but I am a big fan of Jesus, so...
Hold this, Kirk. Behold the atheist's nightmare. Now, if you study a well-made banana, you'll find on the far side there are 3 ridges. On the close side, 2 ridges. If you get your hand ready to grip a banana, you'll find on the far side there are 3 grooves, on the close side 2 grooves. The banana and the hand are perfectly made one for the other. You'll find the maker of the banana, Almighty God, has made it with a non-slip surface. It has outward indicators of inward contents: green, too early; yellow, just right; black, too late. Now, if you go to the top of the banana, you'll find, as with the soda can makers, they placed a tab at the top. So God has placed a tab at the top. When you pull the tab, the contents don't squirt in your face. You'll find the wrapper, which is biodegradable, has perforations. Notice how gracefully it sits over the human hand. Notice it has a point at the top for ease of entry. It's just the right shape for the human mouth. It's chewy, easy to digest, and it's even curved toward the face to make the whole process so much easier. Seriously, Kirk, the whole of creation testifies to the genius of God's creative hand. It absolutely does.
But like a lot of media from the 2000s, it can be extremely problematic and downright offensive.
Now, this next clip took place in New Zealand. Ray and I had just finished preaching in the square in Christchurch, and I was witnessing to a transvestite named Billy. And as you'll be able to very clearly tell, Billy didn't really like what I had to say.
Billy, Christ can set you free.
Hey! Listen, Yank.
Christ can...
Look, Yank. Let me tell you. Hey, don't to my country telling me we've got rights in this country.
Perhaps my favorite thing about Way of the Master is that its instructions for evangelism are very easy to follow and often incredibly repeatable. In fact, in Kirk's own shitty movies, he recycles this witnessing script that he does in Way of the Master.
You just said you were a good person.
Would you consider yourself to be a good person?
Oh, most definitely.
Do you think you've kept the 10 Commandments? Have you kept the 10 Commandments? Have you ever lied?
And the guy's gonna say, well, sure, of course, everybody has.
Yeah, well, who hasn't?
So if you've lied, what are you called? And you're trying to get him to say liar.
Have you ever hated someone?
Yep.
His standards are so high, he considers hatred to be murder.
Okay, the Bible says you've committed murder in your heart if you hate someone.
I know that.
Here's the one that got me. Jesus said, the one that really got me was, Jesus said, whoever looks at a woman to lust after her has already committed adultery with her in his heart. And that's only 3 of the 10 Commandments. We've only looked at 4 of the 10 Commandments, 3 of the 10 Commandments, and by your own admission. All right, so Keishane, by your own admission, you're a lying thief and an adulterer at heart. You're a lying thief and a hypocrite and an adulterer at heart.
So if God were to judge you by the 10 Commandments, do you think you'd be innocent or guilty? That's it.
I guess I'd be guilty.
This series shows the rapture.
No! What's going on? My baby, did you see him? He disappeared from his car seat, but his clothes are there.
The tribulation.
All of us, together, form our own tribulation force.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to see that again. The ending of this movie is, spoiler alert, the global community, aka the New World Order, were poisoning Bibles in order to kill the remaining underground Christians. And then, after edging us for 3 movies, the Antichrist finally takes over, and then the movie just ends. Just goes straight to fucking credits. Thanks for giving us blue balls, Kirk. Kirk famously will not kiss any woman in a movie that isn't his wife, often having to have her come in and kiss him during movies. However, I saw his wife kissing other dudes in Left Behind. So, what's up with that?
If you would just see the truth.
Jesus, please, come on, Ray. Ray, just kiss me. Come on. Just kiss me once. Tell me you don't love me.
I don't love you.
Fireproof is a movie about a man who is addicted to boat porn. Oh, wait. I got a little confused because every time Kirk's character is looking at porn online, they always show boats.
Because you care more about saving for your stupid boat and pleasing yourself than you ever did about me.
Shut up! No more addictions.
I would never attempt to try to redefine marriage, and I don't think anyone else should either. So do I support the idea of gay marriage? No, I don't.
Do you think homosexuality is a sin?
I think that it's unnatural. I think that it's detrimental and ultimately destructive to so many of the foundations of civilization.
Cake. It looks like the free cake that you would get for ordering the Mother's Day bucket at KFC. This picture just drives me fucking bananas. It is so funny and so awkward. Apparently, there was 10 to 15 guests, I don't know why that number specifically, that were actually behind the camera, so this party isn't as sad as it looked.
She wanted to sleep with me and I didn't do it. I'm probably gay. Are you happy now?
And honestly, this whole thing is kind of like a modern day equivalent of today's cool, fashionable, hipster Christian vibes that we see with young evangelicals. You know, those charismatic megachurch Christians that rock the iconic look of a white Pacific Northwest bisexual, yet they remain Bible-thumping bigots.
I'm going to be discussing Paula White. No, that's Paul White. This is Paula White, seen here dressed in white and looking very white, and also holy 80s airbrushing Batman. That woman has no pores.
Y'all are all acting like you were just you. You're saying from the beginning. Have you ever danced with someone and it's awkward? It's like this, you know, and it's like you're moving and you know it just doesn't flow. You with me, Twana? You ever? Okay. Marsha, I know you did some clubbing.
Well, it's none other than the most devout American president in history, Donald John the Baptist Trump. Fun fact, that picture on my computer, it's actually called Trump Pray Crop because it's a picture of Trump, well, at least looks like he's praying, and I had to crop it down to size. You may also recognize Trump Pray Crop as Jen's less popular attempt at an Eat, Pray, Love sequel.
In the 20th century, women made decisions that resulted in the weakening of families and the demoralization of the next generation of young women.
Now, in the 21st century, it has become very difficult to be a young woman. Thanks to America's legacy of militant feminism, girls are confused about where they fit into the world, even into their own families. They're confused about what it means to be a woman. Perhaps most of all, they're confused about how to deal with a new byproduct of feminism, prolonged singleness.
Is feminism the reason for your prolonged singleness?
And I tell you, there's nothing like an unexpected 15-year extension of singleness to really force you to grapple with womanhood and God's plan for your life.
And you know their creepy-ass dad had something to say about this.
What are you doing to help her become the kind of girl who says, "Dad, tell me more about what is important. Tell me more about how I can strengthen and preserve the faith and extend it to many future generations once I'm married. Help me get ready for the calling of womanhood." Help me identify a real man and a real leader I can work with as my life work. A husband who understands leadership like you do, Dad, who recognizes the high office of womanhood and motherhood, and who knows what it means to lay his life down for me like you do, who knows how to protect me and provide for me like you do, who knows how to lead gently and sacrificially and patriarchally like you do. I can tell you there are fathers and daughters out there right now who have this kind of relationship, and it's getting better year by year. Also, there are young men out there who are very intrigued by this for the right reasons.
College campuses have become dangerous places of anxiety, wasted years, mental defilement, and moral derangement, they write. Although neither of the sisters has attended college, they also claim universities are hotbeds of Marxism that forbid a free exchange of ideas and seek to indoctrinate students in leftist thinking. Elsewhere, they quote a document from the pro-patriarchy website Fathers for Life that states that the prime purposes of feminism are to establish a lesbian socialist republic and to dismantle the family unit. Echoing Pat Robertson's notorious statement that feminism is a socialist anti-family political movement that encourages women to leave their husbands, kill their children, practice witchcraft, destroy capitalism, and become lesbians.
Lauren loves a good thigh holster. I found so many photos of Lauren with thigh holsters that I made you all a montage.
I just went to the gun store and stole all the guns. I just smoked crack out of a gun. I just loaded up my gun with 32 little guns and then I shot people with guns. I legally changed my first, middle, and last name to Gun. I just had both my hands surgically removed and replaced by guns. I walked out of the gun convention because there wasn't enough guns.
Now, Shooter's Grill, as best I can describe it, is kind of like the love child of an Applebee's and a Bass Pro Shop if that child were conceived during a screening of the entire John Wick trilogy. There's no real consistent theme across any of the food, which runs the gamut from Asian to Tex-Mex to steakhouse to classic American diner.
Mexican, Asian, Indian. It sounds like a confusion.
But see, what Shooters lacks in menu cohesion, it more than makes up for in thematic cohesion. This menu is chock full of gun-themed dishes and Republican pandering. They've got all your fired-powered favorites, including the Target practice meal, the Daisy BB Black Bean Burger, the Guac 9 Burger with guacamole, the Swiss & Wesson, the Ruger Reuben, the Rifle Burger, the Springfield Salad, the Black Powder and Shotgun Burritos, the 6-Shooter Skillet, the Smoking Gun Scramble, the Rifle Breakfast, or my personal favorite, the French Rifle Toast. And don't forget to thank Jesus for your food or to ask about our concealed carry classes offered by Legal Heat, with dinner included. Later in June of 2017, Lauren would operate an unlicensed food cart outside of the Rifle Rodeo. Over 80 people, some as young as 7 years old, would become sick with food poisoning that was later tied to a batch of bad pork sliders that Lauren and her crew made for the event. The publicly available report from the Garfield County Health Department reports a staggering number of health code violations. I'm going to post it here, but don't pause to read unless you just want to get sick. And surely these would embarrass any reputable restaurant owner. But personally, I think the most damning revelation to come out of the whole thing was the fact that she was using Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce. Ma'am, you literally own a smokehouse, and you are using sauce we can get at Walmart? Shameful.
And Mom's different, and Mom is overweight and old, and she would probably still say yes.
Previously on Fundie Fridays.
Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Fundie Fridays, and here we talk about fundies while I do my makeup.
We call it kind of like a wheel, and there are certain spokes in the wheel. Each wife is a spoke in the wheel.
And in case you are wondering, yes, I do still have an account on sisterwives.com because they won't let me delete it. So if you find me on there, just know that your secret is not safe with me.
My dad ended up marrying Cheryl before I married Janelle. And so it's weird that Cheryl is both my dad's wife, my mom's sister wife, and my mother-in-law.
Because when I'm home, I do exactly what I should, yet my girls can't see their siblings. What does the nanny do?
Before I got saved by the grace of God, I used to smoke a lot of dope, but I've never been that stupid. Are you kidding me? The bathroom that you self-identify with.
You so much as cough wrong, and I'll expose you in front of everybody in this tent, you stinking witch.
You were sent to this church to destroy us. You were sent to this church to lure us in. You were sent to this church to cast spell. Listen, some of you been sick because you befriended that witch.
Right? And I'm talking to Ray Comfort of Living Waters from California, and he has a representative of the dog kind, but this is a representative of the dog kind 6,000 years after creation. And I call such creatures as that sin-cursed, degenerate, mutated copies of the original perfect, very good dog.
Yeah, but you're the same.
Well, no, but I'm not the dog kind. I'm the human kind.
Yeah, but still sin-cursed, ugly, dying.
Putting the fun back in fundamentalism here at the XO conference.
If you weren't aware, Driscoll is currently knee-deep in his flop era, but like apple-bottom jeans or Joe Rogan's opinion, he was a big deal back in the 2000s, but now he's kind of, pathetic. I'm joking, of course. Apple-bottom jeans, I would never say that about you. I'm sorry.
One man, one woman, fixed binary gender categories. I mean, it's crazy. And if you think that's not right, we just found all the college graduates who've been brainwashed. Okay. In addition,
I'm not done roasting him. Mark looks like he calls women females. He looks like he shames his daughters for what they wear around the house. Mark looks like he saw American Sniper in the theater. Twice. To put it another way, Mark Driscoll is the pastoral equivalent of getting wasted on Four Loko at a Trapped concert.
and I don't think there's anything purer than two guys in a cage, no balls, no sticks, no bats, no help, no team, and just see which man is better.
We live in a completely pussified nation. We could get every man, real man, as opposed to pussified James Dobson knockoff, crying, promise-keeping, homoerotic, worship-loving mama's boy, sensitive, emasculated, neutered, exact male replica evangelifish, and have a conference in a phone booth. First of all, how fucking dare you call that shit homoerotic when you're literally having greased up oil fucking gladiator nights with these men? I cannot believe this shit. It all began with Adam, the first of the pussified nation, who kept his mouth shut and watched everything fall headlong down the slippery slide of hell/feminism, where he shut his mouth and listened to his wife, who thought Satan was a good theologian when he should have led her and exercised his delegated authority as a king of the planet. As a result, he was cursed for listening to his wife, and every man since has been his pussified, sit quietly by and watch a nation of men be raised by bitter penis-envying, bird-feministed single mothers who make sure that Johnny grows up to be a very nice woman who sits down to pee. So Johnny hits youth group one day to hear from his pussified youth pastor that he should perfect his virginity and dating skills. So Johnny tries to be a loving and patient man who looks for a nice woman like Mom who will whip him into shape and beat him into submission so that he can one day join a men's accountability group and learn to keep his urges under control, which has caused him to earn a BA in masturbation, MA in porno, and PhD in knuckleheadology, as Johnny is now so terrified of women and his own penis that he sits in his room alone each night on the internet hoping to get some, with the occasional falling into sin with a woman as they inevitably cross boundaries of intimacy, because he's so afraid of women and he has no idea how to take one, or love one, or serve one, or take one to bed and make the Song of Songs sing again. One day, Johnny finally gives in to the pressure of his pre-humpers singles ministry and gets stuck with some gal left on the shelf long after her expiration date that is just like dear old Mom, who wants him to shut up like Adam, take his beating, and join a church men's group that is really a woman's group in disguise, complete with cookies and crying and antidepressants to cope with the insanity. Poor Johnny is by now so completely whacked that he's afraid of having kids and hold off his taking on any more responsibility as long as he can, because Johnny is a boy trapped in a man's body, walking around in a world of other boys, all trying to keep their pee-pee behind their zipper and do just like their mama told them and be good women. And so the culture and families and churches sprint to hell because the men aren't doing their job and the feminists continue their rant, and that's all our fault, and we should just let them be pastors and heads of homes and run the show. And the more we do, the more hell looks like a good place, because at least a man is in charge, has a bit of order, and lets men spit and scratch as needed. And all their whining and fighting is nothing more than further evidence that we all are still kings, and unless we do our job, everyone and everything is getting screwed except Johnny. Metaphorically speaking, of course. And then he gives a little fucking rundown of like the definitions of the nicknames. Tag yourself in the comments below which one of these you are. Knuckleheadology. The seemingly profound but completely insane thinking that tends to fill the head of a single young men who are avoiding taking a wife and having children. Rocks. The courage a man must have to be a manly man. The jar. The place where unmanly men store the rocks that they never wear. Clickers. Lazy men who lay on the couch and watch too much television. Wandering Willie. Any man who commits adultery on his wife. Bibliophobe. Any man who argues passionately for his point without ever using scripture but likes to toss Jesus' name around a lot. Artisticularless. Men who expect women to take care of them because they play guitar or paint. That's very specific. Marty Stewart. Any man who stays at home with his kids while his wife goes off to work to provide for his family. King and Lord. Jesus. Mixed nuts. Any man who claims Christ but is actively involved in homosexual activity. The gays are going to love that one. Kindling. Any man who does not repent of his sin and receive God's grace in Christ. Homoerotic huddle. Any men's group where the men cry inordinately and hug each other with deep affection. Fellas, it's a gay to have feelings. Feminism. The enemy of every man, every woman, every child, and God Almighty. Odd Squad. The collection of people who comprise a singles ministry. Bro, you are such an asshole. Suggestions, and I would encourage your input to help create this language that we will now call Wallaceisms. You fucking loser. Pussified. Any man who has lost his rocks and completed the process of remaining biologically male but become female in all other ways.
It seems like he's against it. Okay, now, Twilight. Eclipse. There's the beast, the false prophet, and the Antichrist.
I did get copyright claimed for using this song, so I'm gonna have to use a different version. Yeah! Yeah! Looking back on the track for a little green bag. Got to find just a kind of losing my mind. Outside in the night, outside in the day. Looking back on the track, gonna do it my way. Outside in the night, outside in the day. I forgot to mention that I got... What the fuck? Which side is it on? You want to know how I got these scars? Sucking your mom's dick. I will guard your innocence, and all I ask in recompense is that you just know the truth inside your father's heart.
And I want you to keep it to the day that I hand you off to some fine young man that loves God.
You know I gotta do it to him. But it was canceled due to low ratings. Is that when he was younger, he was actually paying for a lot of groceries and other bills for the family. While that seems like a nice thing to do, that is unfortunately parentification, and in some cases that could be considered financial abuse. That's why it hurt so bad when Lawson striked the channel and tried to take the brand down, because I stood up for him. You know, I was pointing out the corruption in IBLP, and I was pointing out that his family abused him and parentified him and took all his money. But no, he had to be a fucking jerk and strike the channel. And I also saw that he was poking around copyright claiming other people that talked about him on January 6th, so Never forget Lawson. But now, their significant associations with the Duggars have turned into a massive liability. I just wanted to show you guys how big Marshall has gotten since that video. I can... Oh, look, I threw my back out picking him up. Marshall, he's so big. Okay, 2 years later, how much bigger has Marshall gotten?
110, according to the vet.
You help me hoist him up.
Hoisting. Ooh.
This is a big
There
Marshall
he
now.
is. Big boy. I got a mouthful of hair there just for a
He
second.
has no idea what's going on.
No, he doesn't know. Sadly, though, Paula White is in no position to compete with these other two vicious competitors tonight. I mean, she hasn't even brought a scandal with her. The only notable thing about her since the last time we saw her was her husband's appearance on the Stranger Things 4 soundtrack. That doesn't get me clicks, Paula. Consider yourself disqualified. And I hope you boys have learned something here today. If you want to step into the sacred ring of the Fundie Fridays Clash of the Cliques, you gotta bring me some real updates. But all you screaming Genonites, rest assured, our remaining two combatants tonight have enough personal animosity, political fury, and overall insanity to keep all of us entertained. They have been chomping at the bit to get at one another for months now, and finally we all get to see the final chapter in one of Washington's most extreme beefs. So it is with both great honor and unrelenting terror that I present to you our main event for tonight, Lauren Boebert versus Marjorie Taylor Greene.
What are you doing? What did you knock over? What? What is it? Juno Birch?
So I was thinking, you know what? I wonder what it feels like. So I practiced on my hand. I think practicing on my hand was just to see what it felt like.
Also, used a copyright song, so you know exactly what the fuck that means.
Jill and I love to kiss.
If you're horny, let's do it. Ride it, my pony. My saddle's waiting. Come on and jump on it.
Her, he's gonna have love marks all over him, but he won't mind.
God, I wish I was dead.
When you have hard times and all others are gone, I will be there when the troubles have come. Through sunshine or rain, when no help can be found. Things may seem hopeless, but just look around.
Wondering if you wanted to make it official and if you wanted to officially court me.
This is one of my favorite jokes of all time because if you get the joke, then you're outed as a pervert. And if you don't, then, oh, God, I wish I was you. We all know what happens when you're forced to marry the first guy that will take you.
Was attraction towards each other there from the beginning of the relationship?
Oh, was it?
You know me, if there's one thing I'm gonna do, it's fucking dunk on Bethany from Girl Defined.
Oh, was it?
I just vibe.
Just, spitting the bars or whatever.
Anybody here believe that?
Jana is very handy and talented in all realms of domesticity, such as carpentry, gardening, and child rearing. I think she's cool. Well, except for the time that she poorly photoshopped a girl's shorts into a skirt.
Mama's gonna have another baby. Mama's gonna have another baby. Really?
Hey, night school made me cry too. Oh, here's a good tattoo for somebody that wants it. Obedience with a die in the middle.
Children, be obedient, for this shall please the Lord. Yeah, all of God's children obedient, for this shall please the Lord.
God is the ultimate architect, the ultimate orchestrator of the heart and the mind, and he knew that man was alone, so he it's like Adam went, man, woman.
Yes, he did.
That's good.
It's good.
Yeah.
The guitar playing in the rain, iconic. But I'm pretty sure somebody was just spraying him with a hose. I forgot about the fucking shot of him looking out the window.
Help me, brother. Help me, sister. Lend a hand. With the rain on my face, God's pain on my mind. With the rain on my face, God's pain on my mind.
I do want to know why Michael keeps looking off to the side of the screen as if he's being held by gunpoint.
Lately I've been ducking and driving issues that were strangling me. And all before I was calling the Cold War, and I thought to myself, this is Christianity. Projection needs some correction. Thanks for directing me. Humble down now to the floor, so low to the ground. Whereas before, I would've never bowed a knee.
I thought that you were part of me, but I found out the heart of me is a hard one. I'm starting to feel more like a garden snake.
As I was walking through my organic, bespoke raised garden, I began to ponder the meaning of life. Why hadn't my cucumbers grown to their full size? Long, girthy, and full of seed. It must be because of something I had done to displease Heavenly Father. He designed the glorious curves of the cucumber, and I was clearly not worthy of the passionate pulp. What could I do to make myself more worthy? What does it mean to be? What does mean? Well, that all depends on what your definition of is. All these thoughts kept rushing through my head. I tried to comfort my son, and he ran away. He must also be thinking about the big things in life. I couldn't help but think that he reminded me, with his big white fur, of a line of pure, uncut Colombian cocaine. As the day went on, time was getting away from me, and my head chip James informed me that I had had too many silly thoughts of cucumbers in my head, and instead I should devote that time to serving him instead. I look forward to serving him all day and night, my knees bloody from prayer and submission. What a glorious godly day I had frolicking amongst the weeds and dog feces. For one day I will be in the cold ground, my bones giving new life to the flora and fauna. In this post from her old Tumblr, she says, over the past few months, God, for me, has been switched to the Swedish pronunciation. Good. It feels appropriately earthy, ringing of sentiment rather than abstraction. It is nice to lean against the wall, tilt one's head upward, and say, good, to feel as if one's words are involved in what means as they lean and look on with tears. I just am picturing Trixie with a Swedish accent trying to say, yes, I like to pray to good. Could I dance for my husband and my children as I had danced for Marmee? Could I let them in the same way I had let her in? You see, it was all very simple. We are all lovebirds, hesitant, yet I let love in because it was unfamiliar. This photo shoot, this was inspired by one of my favorite scenes of all literature. Can anyone guess it? Hint, Uncle Tom's Cabin. Now what the fuck is that about?
Wait a minute. Lawson Bates isn't right about anything.
Got it. Cool. All right. Music. I gotta find the music in the Bluetooth. It's not working.
No!
And I'm gonna roll in like a thunderstorm, softly rock you in my arms, steady as the river runs, strong as a hurricane. I wanna be the thing you need the most, be that song in your soul, the one you know is gonna wash your cares away. I wanna love you like the rain.
Oh. Jen, are you awake?
Yeah. I just had the strangest dream. You were there, and you were there, and the Jennonites were there too.
They were there?
They told me that with the power of the Jennonites, I can continue to annoy Lawson Bates forever. And the strangest thing about all of this was the friends we made along the way.
You.
Oh, hey there. Welcome to my office. Didn't see you come in. I'll keep it brief as I can. My name's Detective Jimmy King, and if you don't know me yet, you sure will after this. See, I'm one of the best private dicks in the game today. I take this job so serious that I didn't even laugh when I said dick back there. Got my credentials through the Herschel Walker Academy of Law Enforcement and everything. So what's my beat, you might ask? Well, I track killers. Not like the stabby, shooty kind, though, because that scares me and I don't like being around blood. No. No, I track killers of the more socio-political variety. Now, I've only been doing this for a year now, but don't you be mistaken. I got some big fish to my name. I was the one that exposed Dastardly Dave, who poisoned the financial literacy of all Americans with expired advice and smarmy ideology. I nabbed Preacher Paula, who shot separation of church and state dead in the middle of Fifth Avenue and didn't even lose any of her Southwest airline miles. And just last month, I finished up my biggest case ever, a months-long beat tracking down all 4 of the minions of MAGA. These sick fucks worked together across 4 states, committing dozens of atrocities against innocent constituents that trusted them. We suspect now that it was all part of some fucked up occult ritual in tribute to their patron demon, MAGA. First rule of law enforcement: when in doubt, assume satanic cult. But while all these cases were fine, so to speak, I'd still say I was looking for something with a little more pizzazz. So as soon as I double-checked my info and made my capture on the minions, I was already scouting around for my next case. And that's when I got a call from my guy, Ranger Tony Bigman, down in Austin. Oh, no, that's Tony's deputy. Huh, yeah, there he is. That right there is the best crime sniffer west of the Rio Chorizo. Now, Tony, he's got something big going on down there deep in the heart of Texas. Since 2003, the state's been experiencing what can only be described as a strange and sickening rash of attacks against democracy. Major elections won by blithering morons, human rights being slashed up left and right, statewide sprees of national embarrassment, you name it. Everything from oligarchy to theocracy, pedantry, all the way down to even idiocy, complacency, and full-on cowardice. I mean cowardice. It's a real bloodbath down there, you get my point. Now, your average gumshoe might look at this and assume unrelated crimes, but a legend like Tony Bigman can sniff out things the others can't. And that's how we found his first big break in the case. A single can of chunky soup left at several otherwise unconnected crimes. Apparently someone liked to commit a lot of crimes and got hungry while they did it. Then just like that, everything changed in 2016. A new attack, this time 1,400 miles away in Washington, D.C. at the presidential election. Bigger, more aggressive, and more sophisticated than anything our Texas perp had ever tried. Multiple players and a trail of destruction that started on Pennsylvania Avenue and ran all the way from sea to shining sea. Tony told me he didn't think anything of it at all at first, but something inside him told him to take the trip east and sniff around for himself. And sure enough, that schnoz of his turned up a major clue. One half-eaten can of sirloin burger with country vegetables found in the bushes right outside the White House. Our perp had been at this crime scene. He was involved in this. And then in 2020, another attack in Washington on our sacred American elections. Bigger, nastier, angrier. Mutilation of public trust. Butchering of innocent voting machines, provocation of a riot, list goes on. And wouldn't you know it, Tony finds a can of grilled chicken and sausage gumbo in a Senate floor trash can. It was official now. Our perp had busted out of Texas and gone nationwide, for the second time no less. This time he made a mistake, left his little napkin behind after the meal, or at least I think it was a napkin. How else do you explain an old campaign flyer covered in knife marks? Using this new information, along with his ace computer skills, Tony was able to narrow down the suspect list to just one man, Raphael Edward Cruz, better known by the alias of Texas Ted. Now this scumbag, he's been on a lot of folks' radars for a while now. Strange cat with a lot of eccentricities and a long rap sheet of political disgustery to his name. He just seems like the type of guy who has a closet full of various metaphorical and or very literal skeletons, you know? Thing is, though, this dude is slippery like a Guadalupe bass and much smarter than most folks give him credit for. Personally, I think this sicko likes being underestimated. For years, people have been trying to tie him to all kinds of awful shit, but nothing ever seems to stick. Up to this point, at least. Our boy Teddy has been coated in a thick layer of Teflon. But not this time, though. Tony thinks we have this guy Ted to rights, and he wants my help to lock it down before the Rangers swoop in. He asked me to comb this guy's life and history and see if we can establish a pattern of crimes against American democracy. If we can do that, we might be able to predict and prevent his next attack, and throw the book at him to boot. It's certainly not going to be easy. Texas Ted's paper trail is chock full of strange, toxic, and concerning behaviors. This dude's file is so fat that if Gwen Shamlin weren't dead, she'd call it a sinner and stick it on a treadmill. We got a lot of shit to sift and not a lot of time to do it, that's what I'm saying. But, like any good detective, the very first thing I need to do is get geared up. So let's see. I've got my pen so I can write stuff down. I got some healthy snacks to keep my energy up. I got my phone so I can listen to my sick mystery-solving jams playlist. And most importantly, my Casetify phone case to make sure my phone is safe from the hard-knock life of a detective on the go.
And it gets weirder. Like, yeah, there's some coin tricks and like some card tricks, but he starts talking about rope tricks.
Just electrician's tape, and then burn the end so it doesn't come unraveled with the nylon rope. That's what the black stuff is on the end. If you put the rope around your neck like this and pull real hard, you will kill yourself.
What the fuck are you doing choking yourself in front of these children?
Up to Altered State, which is a store that just started carrying not just Love to Find, but Girl to Find too, so both of our books. So we are headed inside to check out both of our books and see them for the very first time in person. Okay, y'all, so I just found Love to Find on the bookshelf. So if you come to Altered State, you're gonna wanna look at all of this cute stuff, and then on the shelf, you're gonna find Love to Find right here. And if you're looking for Girl to Find, over here, where all the super cute clothes are, here it is. Oh my goodness, right here. So fun. If you have an Altered State in your city, you need to go there today or this weekend. Go check out Love to Find, Girl to Find, grab a copy, buy it for a friend, post a video, and hashtag us on social media. We wanna see you in Altered State. It's so awesome. All right, we are heading out. We got our good stuff, and we are leaving. It was such a blast, y'all. There's the store. Check out us. Altered State. Go visit check it out. A city. Check it out. A city. Go visit a store in your city today. So back in high school, I was really insecure about my pale skin because I thought that if I could only have tan skin like everyone else in the world, then I would finally be truly beautiful and I would have that ultimate satisfaction. So in an attempt to try to get that perfect look, I laid out in the sun for hours and hours on end, literally burning my legs to a crisp like a red lobster, scorching them to where they were literally in boils, and I actually still have scars on them today in an attempt to try to find that ultimate satisfaction and achieve what I thought was the perfect look. Does it hurt the first time? I think the answer is yes, it does hurt the first time. Personally, never had any pain. And I was
She's like, my pussy did not bleed. Story goes, Kristen was getting her wedding dress fitted for her wedding, which was like 10, 11 years ago. And Bethy, who was single, bought a wedding dress that same day and saved it for 10 years. She didn't even end up using that dress.
That thing in your life that didn't turn out at all the way you imagined it would. For me, it was buying a wedding dress at 21, thinking I would get married soon, only to have it hang in the back of my closet for the next decade.
Because if you pulled that kind of shit at my dress fitting, you deserve to be shunned. What the fuck is wrong with you, Bethy? No! Bad Bethy. Speaking of wedding cringe, do you guys remember the sexy lover thing? Because I remembered it randomly the other day. And so she put this on a, like, handkerchief as a gift to Dave. And the photographer filmed it. And she goes, I want to be your sexy lover. How sexy can you be, Bethy? I know you ain't sucking dick.
Seriously, though. If people are concerned that we use a toothbrush, I'm gonna have to start calling all the people out who are putting their mouths in places that are much less sanitary than sharing a toothbrush.
My struggle with masturbation prior to marriage impacted my
relationship with my husband, our intimacy, because my body was so trained to respond to stimulation based on masturbation that when my husband, when we are having sex, that I had early on in our marriage, I had to really almost like retrain my body to respond to my husband and not to respond to the way that I had grown used to experiencing an orgasm. And
damn, you could not waterboard that information out of me.
Silence wherever you are, sisters come together. We break for each other, more than society demands. This is why we're joining hands. We are sisters. Revolution. Oh shit! I threw the spinach early.
I am loved. Free is who I am. Created me to be. This is how we light it up. I did a different dance.
Hello, it's me.
So then it's like, okay, so ultimately whatever you feel, whatever you call yourself is what you are. It's non-binary gender fluidity.
I can't imagine living life on my truth.
That's a scary thought. I am a mother now. My pronouns are they, them, they, them, they, them, they, them.
Hello from the other side. I must have called 1,000 times to tell you I'm sorry for everything that I've done. But when I call you, never seem to be home.
You can't be a they, them people. You can't. I'm sorry. Pick one or the other at least.
Hello from the outside. At least I can say that I've tried to tell you I'm sorry for breaking your heart, but it don't matter. It clearly doesn't tear you apart anymore.
I think personally I would just avoid any type of gender specific nouns, pronouns when it comes to someone who wants to be called they, them.
My pronouns are they, them, they, them.
Hello, how are you?
Also, last time I put out a Paul and Morgan video when my channel was a little bitty baby, like half of the comments were a bunch of people calling me fat and ugly. So, I mean, I am fat, but bitch, I am not ugly.
Turn around. You're coming with me. And I know where we're going. Drive.
When I want to learn how to do something on a video editing program, I'll do a little project. I'll like make an intro or do a song or like whatever. And I wanted to learn how to key stuff out and, you know, make it transparent. So I edited Morgan's song and added a few elements to it. And I felt at the time that it was too blasphemous for the public to see. So I put it on Patreon. And I think it's only appropriate that I show it to you all now because it's been 2 years and I'm talking about it. So here's my remix of the abortion song.
Your tiny fingertips and your baby lips.
I got an abortion.
Here's to hope.
baby probably has a beating heart, you know. It can feel pain. I am filled with Christ's love.
My babies. They're killing my babies.
Times when I've done something or said something to Morgan that's been so hurtful, and in the back of my mind I'm like, oh, it's nice knowing that she can't go anywhere.
Okay, that doesn't give you the right to say mean things
I
to your
feel
wife.
guilty about it.
I literally jump on him, I sit on his face, and I fart in his face.
That is way too many details.
They needed to know why I decided to do that.
Guys, in the new Rings of Power series, and then you see like several interracial couples, and I'm fine with that. Like, you know what? Unless it feels just ridiculously pushed on us, I'm fine with that. But I feel like there is a lot of people that are just over the wokeness. They are over the wokeness being force-fed to us and Netflix shows and all of these new shows. And so they're kind of like already on edge. And so they go into this show and then they see, okay, well, there's an interracial couple from I don't know what the official name was, but they're ultimately like hobbits. Fine. Oh, and then there's another interracial couple. Fine. And then there's another interracial couple. And it's kind of like, okay, it's getting a little exhausting. The interracial, dwarf couple. And it's like, it's starting to feel a little excessive. And I'm not saying that in any way racist. It's just like, how many are you going to put? Like, I don't care at all, but I could see where some of the pushback maybe is coming from.
Right, they're obviously doing it on purpose, but personally, to me, I went in with zero expectations, and I had no idea that they were, like, intentionally, like, trying to push this or whatever.
Really? So you didn't even, like, chuckle the third interracial couple that popped up?
I did not think about it at all. I just don't care.
But what about Paul? Because so far he's identified as a mother, James Dean, and a black person.
I'm announcing it in today's video. I am a mother now. So if I were to say I identify now as James Dean, you guys react how you want, haters react how you want, but I'm genuinely asking, why the heck? Race to me is something, you tell me if you disagree, I think it's something that is less intense or less permanent than literally gender. I would think to be able to say, hey, you know, I grew up around a lot of this ethnic group, and I really love their ethnic group, and I actually love it even more than maybe my own. Guys, I want you to start calling me black. Okay, I played a lot of basketball when I was younger, hung out with a lot of good basketball black players, went to their homes, got absorbed in their culture. I'm black now. Is that cool to do? Can I do that?
No.
Why not? Because Dylan just said, you know, whatever you feel, whatever you call yourself, I don't even have to paint my body. I don't even have to do anything else.
And to that, I say, do you struggle with depression? Do you struggle with anxiety? Do you struggle with blah, blah, blah? And people aren't going to like this, but
no,
I don't
they
care.
will not.
And if the answer is yes, then I'm just going to say, I don't want to hear from you. Because
Whoa.
when you are struggling with these really like heavy things, these mental illnesses, these very heavy things, and you're living in sin, but yet you're saying it's totally fine and it doesn't affect me in any way, shape, or form, I just don't believe that. I don't believe that. I believe that if you stopped having sex outside of marriage, that your depression might lessen. And
about slave owners, could we not have said, as she said, it's a practical conversation about women's rights? Could we not have said, hey, no, slavery is actually, the people that are against slavery, cut that out. This is about slave owners' rights. They have farms, they have plantations to take care of. And if we suddenly abolish slavery, think about them. Their lives are going to be greatly, they're going to be in distress to keep up with the demands.
Yeah.
Is that not fair? it's going to be a big inconvenience to their lives and to their life goals, because there are a lot of these young plantation owners that have big dreams and big goals. And you're going to strip their slaves away? Am I not allowed to say this stuff? Because I think it's relevant. Because slave owners' rights are humans' rights.
Oh.
6 years in, and lube is a pretty common thing for us, but those early days, yes.
Not that common.
Lube is decently common. Decently common for us. You say more often than not, no lube?
Yeah.
Really?
How is sex when your wife is on her period for a man?
There's a movie from the mid-2000s, There Will Be Blood. It's a very intense movie.
I believe that every woman can orgasm close to every time she has sex. Yeah.
Let's be real, we don't.
Yeah.
But I would say it.
Well, I don't. Not we, buddy.
Hey, we're one. We're one flesh. And it was one of those things where I think growing up, I just did not. It's kind of like guys have hair, girls don't. That was literally kind of my thought process. Oh, it's very educational. Okay. And I remember like when I saw in college, they made me watch a woman give birth, and I was kind of like,
Okay.
I think oftentimes, like when people freak out about oral, they're just like, it's that's the only sexual act that's happening, and then like the couple's finished and they just did oral. Oral is oftentimes a part of foreplay, and it's often a part of stimulating the other person, warming up the other person for other things, just penetration. And I've had friends literally say, hey, I watched you and Morgan talk about sex, answer a certain question, and it made me uncomfortable. Let's just say, without getting too graphic,
Right.
there is a baby. They're crowding the oven space. They're crowding the cave in ways. I'm sorry. That's
gracious.
Cut it. Edit it.
I
Edit.
can't. This is live, buddy.
Said, Paul, didn't you see that Kanye West posted something sensual? And then she ended it with, where is your discernment? Fair enough.
Also, I want to say, if there are any casting directors out there, or somebody working on a documentary, or somebody, I don't know, involved with any type of media involving Gwen Chamberlain, please call me. I want to be a background fat person eating in a Gwen Chamberlain movie.
Michael.
Yes!
Come on out.
Now I'm going to show you the actual reaction that me and my friends had when Michael and Elizabeth came on screen. Who is he?
Turn the camera.
I need to see! Wow, who the fuck is this?
Timothy Chalamet, you get out of there.
Not even.
And they were good kids.
This is lame.
Arrest this man.
I'm sorry to this man. What?
No.
Not dead
He was
behind the
not a
eyes.
theater kid.
Yeah, he's certainly.
This is not my Michael.
This is not the Michael Shamble that I know and love. Yeah, his music career.
That's fine. But the church has its own recording studio. You can make music there.
The music at home.
Lately I've been ducking and driving, issues that were strangling me.
So Cody married Robin in May of 2010, and she came in like a wrecking ball, just breakdancing all over everybody's hearts.
I'm not a psychologist, I'm just a parent. Phil is nervous as a three-legged cat on a hot tin roof. She's leaking emotionally. I don't think that I'm that big an ogre. Plural marriage isn't all beer and Skittles. Because if one of my little children were to die because somebody had to get his pencil wet, There's a term they use for Robin. It's called circling the donkey.
What?
You look like the bird that ate the mouse. What a goat rodeo, right? Man, just the knife in the kidneys over all these years. That's a gaslighting fallacy. That's Janelle just trying to put hot coals on my head. So we're not sitting here in our house like a bunch of alcoholics that had a fight last night and forgot it happened. A sweet 16 birthday party is a birthday party where the girl hasn't been kissed. And she's getting out of the lobster bucket. Carpet.
And he said he also went to Ambassador Baptist. No. It went to Ambassador Baptist Kalash! In my opinion, this is mostly about his beef with Steven Anderson. Famously is a tiny little bigot, and he is evil, and just watch my video about him.
Once he figured out that he couldn't gain the popularity that he wanted as an independent fundamental Baptist, because he just wasn't a very great preacher, then he just defects over to the liberal, non-denom, worship style, skinny jeans, faggoty kind of style.
Anyway.
And people just kept coming. People kept getting saved. You see this little horse trough over here? It's hard for some of you to see it. We got a little blue horse trough over here. To every single hater and every single skinny jean wearing woke pastor that said we were going to destroy our church in the last 3 years, that horse trough has seen 7,000 converts come through those baptismal waters. I meant it. I said, sir, listen to me very closely. I will be back tonight at 5 o'clock like I am every single day of my life to get my 2 medium coffees, 7 creams, and 5 sugar. I will be back tonight, and I will not be wearing a mask. Thank you for this opportunity to pray for our nation, for these my friends. And we do pray for Enrique, and Luke, we pray for his organization. And Lord, they may get a bum rap on the news media, but we just thank God that we can lock shields and we can come shoulder to shoulder with people that still stand up for this nation and still love the rights and the freedoms that we have. Because, Lord, we've got to recognize the fact, if we don't have convictions worth dying for, we don't even know what living really is.
There's an evil in these streets, but people, they keep walking. The government is hush-hush and preachers ain't talking.
I just want to say, not as good as Michael Shamblin.
Everybody's quiet as a mouse, cause you don't get concerned unless it happens in
your house.
See it on the news all the time. So no more can I keep silent, so I'm busting out this rhyme. It's time to lift the lid on a subject that ain't nice. They snatching up our kids, selling them out like they merchandise. We've overlooked it like a big misplacement, not thinking about the girls beat up naked in
This lady walking her dog behind him is me.
basement. There's no hope for victims, only danger. Forced all the time, having sex with a stranger. I know that sounds so dirty, you'd rather turn your face, but
Is this really happening right now?
you can't sit there silent and still preach about his grace. It's gonna take an army to stand against this wrong. It's become an epidemic that's now 30 million strong. My friend, this ain't no game. Don't act like you can pause it. Imagine it's your kid in some dirty dude's closet. I'm not apologizing for being too graphic. It's time to break the silence for the victims of the traffic.
Pack it up. This is as far as we can advance in music. He's done it all. This is... So, if you recall from several episodes of this series, we asked Olivia to be our wedding photographer, and she said yes.
She did.
And we, as of recording this episode right now, we don't have the pictures back, but you know when I get them, I'll share them with you, of course. It was fucking crazy.
It was amazing.
Meeting her in real life, dude. So,
Everybody we knew who met her was blown away.
They're like, oh.
But she's got gravitas.
She's well spoken. Like I said, she's very intelligent, compassionate.
Incredible
empathetic
person.
She's also an amazing photographer,
Yeah.
and I know she got some good shots out of it. She was getting us emotional.
I mean,
emotion.
Yeah. She was the best investment we made. I mean, her job description said photographer, but she did everything.
She was carrying around my little Polaroid camera at the, she was doing everything. And then she also has her bartending license, and she was talking about doing that for people, like,
hey, that bag needs to be picked up. Next thing you know, she's added it to the 9 photography bag she's already got on.
She even had to 1-2 buckle my shoe because I couldn't reach when I had my big dress on.
This was my favorite picture from like the whole wedding because this was like before I thought, I didn't know, I was like, this is just for me, but I was like, this is too cute. Her tie and Jen's shoe, I couldn't help it.
Yeah.
Now we're opening a new dance studio in Cairo, and I've been, having fun putting together different playlists.
A jazz square.
Jazz square. A Punnett square.
If only they knew about Punnett squares.
Yeah.
This is me trying to learn the choreography to New Shapes from Charlie and Christine and the
This
Queens
is us
and
trying to
Caroline.
learn the choreography to the Girl Defined dance.
We
Sisters
are better
in
dancers.
Christ, wherever you are.
Sisters
Friendship
come
is
together.
forever.
No, God is forever.
That's the ponies.
I used to like to listen to the Beastie Boys, and Run DMC, and kind of whenever those came out. I guess I was probably 13.
And that's hip hop.
Yeah, that's what you see. How my skirt is so short. That's what makes it hip.
You want to turn your feet out, and I'm going to do this backwards, and that's what makes it look like hip hop.
What song would you add to this?
Uh-huh.
Why?
No, the Northern. I dig
Northern
my dip in the sauce to dip on a Taco Tuesday.
We step smack on your booblies.
Feel free to say no.
All I know is I've been a mom, and I've been a wife, and now it's time to be me. I feel like I've just scratched the surface.
Ma'am?
The use of the past tense is pretty jarring there.
You're still a mom. You need to take care of your children.
That little one's like 7.
And stop trying to hip-hop dance away from your midlife crisis.
That's not hip-hop.
That is not hip-hop.
All right, so step 1. Produce a bunch of offspring. Just have a buttload of them. As many as you want, as many as you can. God loves them all, right? All right. Now step 2, the L. Live your life while making sure to pass all of the education and basic parenting duties of your younger children onto your older children, thereby ensuring you have plenty of time for, I don't know, whatever nonsense hobby you came up with that week. And now to the A, step 3. Achieve minor fame for your large family and then immediately let that consume you and become your entire personality. T, step 4. Throw a tantrum anytime someone even alludes to the idea that some of your problems might be your own fault. And finally, step 5, the H. Have too many margaritas and try to drive home.
I remember you talking about other girls that were my age, and he would talk about how old they were.
Oh,
and I was like,
old.
there's just no hope for me.
You played your age down a lot. You kind of like acted young and
I still feel young at heart.
You still got some energy.
You talk about the liberals confusing people. Bitch, I'm confused. What is a Christian married woman such as myself supposed to do here?
I would basically view it like, all right, Dave, it's your job to make me come alive, and I'm like coming like these dead dry bones, and he's like, all right, how am I gonna raise the dead tonight, you know?
Back when Bible Man first started all the way back in 1995, most people carried their Word of God around as a physical book.
In my most recent laser sword battle with the Pink Reverend.
Oh! Still works. Not a scratch in sight.
Oh no! Thanks to Casetify, I could never destroy Bible Man's phone. There was also a character that they got rid of in the early seasons called Coates, and they replaced him with Cypher, who many of you had a gay crush on. Later on in the series, we were introduced to Bible Girl, who many of you also had a gay crush on.
You looked and acted just like a real Bible girl. Yes, she did.
Miles Peterson, a man who had it all. Wealth, status, success. Still, something was lacking. Miserable, alone, his spirit beaten, Miles Peterson gave up.
You know, you're probably thinking, these villains are so corny. How could they ever, like, cause a child to sin? That's because they're always, like, making weapons and like different magical things to control children's souls. Like the time that they made literal haterade.
Come on, Jess. What a lousy way to end the season. That little loser killing our rally.
This thing that makes kids talk like Fred Durst.
Hey, Bobby! Turn the TV off, please, and call your sister to dinner.
I'm busy right now.
Oh yeah, and then there was that one time that Luxor Spondroth made a legitimate biological weapon.
And by employing the latest techniques of spiritual germ warfare, soon I'll put a bug in Bible Man's head that will turn him into a raging infection of rebellion. It will spread like the plague. People everywhere will turn away from God, and then, as I always say, they'll be at my mercy.
And it's just really jarring to me because when I watch that clip, I'm like, that's Bible Man. That's Bible Man yelling at this guy.
Willie, come on. I ain't putting up with your crap ever. Don't you ever talk to me that way.
Around 2010, he starts to get his life back together. He starts working random job, and it seems like he is just completing side quests, but he's doing great. He became a satellite installation technician, and then in 2010, he became a cruise ship director for Oceania Cruise Lines, and he would even sing twice a week for the guests.
We're in charge of all of the activities, entertainment, daily newspapers, receptions, wedding vow renewals, and we interface with all of the different departments constantly.
And yes, I'm happy to report that he's doing great. He's remarried. He does Hallmark movies now. So I'm really proud of him. I hope he, continues to do well in life. The way that she conducts herself makes you feel like she's in on the joke.
These boys are driving the girls to vagina licking.
Who is the joke on, right? Because she's known for the Sister Cindy slut-shaming show.
You have got to be kidding me. You are supposed to be here to get an education. But many of you girls are still undecided. And your social calendar looks like you're trying to get a degree in oral sex. I mean, what? You've only been on campus 3 weeks, and you've already had 4 or 5 penises now.
She will yell at random women as they are walking to class, or men that she perceives to be as gay. She will call them effeminate and other mean names. She has been known to say things that are quite problematic, things that could be considered anti-Semitic. And it's just wild because every time she appears, there is always two camps. There's the people who are like, point blank, this is fucked up and we shouldn't tolerate her verbal abuse and her rants and her bad behavior. And then you have the people that are like, Queen, Sister Cindy, slay, we love you, like, I'm gay and I think Sister Cindy is hilarious. Let's just err on the side of caution and say that we probably shouldn't stan Sister Cindy, but
whatever you want to say, you can end it off.
Sister Cindy here saying hell is hot, don't be a thought, turn or burn, repent or perish, salvation or damnation, heaven or hell, Jesus before it's too late.
Yeah, people love her on there because of all the crazy shit she says. She's always talking about vampire hoes.
There are vampire hoes all over this campus. I wonder if I'm a lesbian. But then I thought of penis.
In an interview with Rolling Stone, Smock is clear about her mission. It's to get college students to repent and leave premarital sex behind, which she calls a ho-no-mo revolution. She says she only started using vulgar language in her proselytizing in the last dozen years, following the popularity of anti-rape culture protests like the Slut Walk, and has only kept it up in an attempt to reach a new generation of college students.
It's not okay to be gay. It's not okay to be a homo. We love the gay people probably more than anybody. But not the gay.
I want to say to the LGBTQ community that Sister Cindy loves you. Jesus died for you. And I love all gay people, just not in a gay way.
A total random tangent here, but before I die, I want to see two people portrayed on Snatch Game: Gwen Shamblin and Sister Cindy. So I'm gonna need all of you drag professionals out there to get on that and call me when you do it, because who would play her?
Just because she is dressed like a hoe, it doesn't mean she wants to do you. You want a girl that's dressed nicely, but...
Can I have you?
No, I'm married to Brother Jed, the campus legend.
Part of me thinks that she might be softening over the years, especially now that Jed's gone. Like, take, for example, this clip.
Sister Cindy, why is the transgender movement so large? I thought it was just a small amount of people. That's the question I've been getting in my inbox a lot. And this is the only thing I can figure out is 10, 15, 20, 25 years ago, God messed up and put a lot of babies in the wrong bodies.
Part of her lore that I find fascinating is something that joins her on the triangle of people who sell Plexus and have also had videos made about them on my channel. So we've got Sister Cindy, Christine Brown, and then over here, J-Rod.
I think that's considerably beyond her budget.
That's too bad.
I'd really like to get a discount. Well, it looks like a good car, just what she needs. She does have a small child.
I'll be frank with you, Mr. Smock. I taught at ISU for 38 years, and I've seen you preaching. I walked by and heard you call the women whores. Why should I give your daughter a discount when you didn't give all those girls the benefit of a doubt?
Well,
I know that many of you also are backseat of an automobile.
Drink 4 margaritas and your heart's stone cold. Drink 5 margaritas, you've been told. Drink 5 margaritas, now you lost your soul. Drink 1 living water, cause Jesus came. Drink 2 living waters, what a change. Drink 3 living water, and break the hoe chain. Drink 4 living water, and the cross gets plain. Drink 5 living water, hoes born again. Drink 5 living water, slay life's game.
Oh no, revolution.
What is this mac and cheese? Is that a black thing?
It is a black thing, Pat. I want to talk about the other host of 700 Club who's kind of iconic, and that is Terry Mewsen. I think it's how you say it. MEEUWSEN. But she was a legitimate, like, Miss America beauty queen.
Her talent, as you remember, was singing, "He Touched Me." Well, somebody really touched her tonight.
I think there are men who are in a woman's body. It's very rare, but it's true. Or women that are in men's bodies, and they want a sex change, and that is a very permanent thing. Believe me, when you have certain body parts amputated. And you have shot up with various kinds of hormones. It's a radical procedure. I don't think there's any sin associated with that. I don't condemn somebody for doing that. But somebody who just says, well, I'm really a woman, I question the validity of that statement. But they say they're counted as female. You don't count somebody as female unless they really are, or male unless they really are.
Ladies and gentlemen, Pat and Dee Dee Robertson. Pat and Dee Dee Robertson.
And if you're thinking, televangelist, Baptist, politically active guy from Virginia starts a university. Surely you're talking about Jerry Falwell. No, it happened twice. If I had a nickel for every time that happened, I'd have 2 nickels. I have a clip here where he didn't know he was on the air and he calls a viewer a homo.
That guy was a
Yeah,
sure as you're alive.
You did the good thing.
Robertson opposed abortion and same-sex marriage. He described feminism as a socialist, anti-family political movement that encourages women to leave their husbands, kill their children, practice witchcraft, destroy capitalism, and become lesbians. Bitch, sign me the fuck up. He said that the acceptance of homosexuality could result in hurricanes, earthquakes, tornadoes, terrorist bombings, and possibly a meteor. Club, another club, no sleep, bus. 2002, Robertson acknowledged buying a racehorse named Mr. Pat for $520,000. He told New York Times reporter that his interest in the horse was based purely on aesthetics. He said, I just really like this horse. Hear me out. I don't bet and I don't gamble. I just enjoy watching horses running and performing. If they have future problems in Dover, I recommend they call on Charles Darwin. Maybe he can help. Okay. That's fucked up. But it's so shady. You're a shady bitch, Pat.
Well, bye, honey. Have fun at the asbestos factory.
Oh, you know I will, honey. We keep America fireproof.
First of all, I take a nap every day. And I've actually read that there are a lot of famous people in history that have been nappers. The hours of noon till 3 are pretty much blocked out. That's my siesta. I wake up early, so I put in 6-7 hard hours of work, and then I'm off the grid. No phone calls, no emails.
Amazing.
And that's my time, and then I pick up in the afternoon if I've got more work. That's been wonderful for me.
Yeah.
Also, I'm not trying to kink shame anybody, but this is from johnandmissy.com, which is the personal website of John Butcher and his wife, and they're talking about how to be sensual, right? I'm pretty sure these are from like their house, because they have a huge house with a giant 4-poster bed. And then like Missy's down here like looking all she's looking all sexy. What is this guy's deal? And like, oh, he's cooking up in the kitchen, and then he's got his No, are these photos that they took?
I'm coming. I missed something, apparently.
This is not okay!
Whoa! Whoa!
Ah!
Most people lie on their resumes. It's just, unfortunately, it's the reality.
Yeah, but you lied about everything.
Well, not true, right?
You lied about your mom.
No, not true either, but again, I never said my mother died on 9/11. I never said that.
Neste vídeo inédito, ele aparece com o mesmo vestido vermelho que ele usa nas fotos com a drag Eula, dançando em cima do trio elétrico durante a parada gay de Niterói em 2007.
Congressman, were you ever a drag queen in Brazil?
No, I was not a drag queen in Brazil, guys. I was young and I had fun at a festival. Sue me for having a life.
Something I mention often, I was at the Ellipse on January 6th. That was the most amazing crowd.
It was.
And the president was at his full awesomeness that day.
Then Drag Race alum Jan for this TikTok of her spot-on impression of the iconic Kitara look. Ask yourself, does it look like George has an opinion about Drag Race?
Congressman Santos, who do you think is going to win Drag Race this season?
I have not watched a season of Drag Race.
We had a great reply to
I said this season.
this season.
I have not watched.
You gotta read up.
Oh yeah, that's the face of a man with a very strong opinion about the winner of All Stars 2. Don't you worry, George, we all know that Katya was robbed. Hey, James here in editing. So I actually had a very, very last-minute event in the life of George and his Cameo account in particular come up as I was editing this video. It turns out that George's Cameo was deployed at the behest of none other than Stokely Hathaway, a fantastic wrestling manager currently signed to All Elite Wrestling, who is currently attempting to recruit the incredible women's tag team of Willow Nightingale and Chris Statlander to his stable of managerial clients. He apparently paid George to participate in this effort, and I'm going to play it for you now. But I want you all to know that, and I can't believe I'm saying this, even with this connection to the pro wrestling I love, George Santos is still uncool and terrible and awful and bad and not iconic.
Hello! It's the diva you've all been waiting to hear from, George Santos! Yes, whatever. Listen, has Stokely made a lot of mistakes? I've honestly lost count. Has he pissed people off? He's drowning in the urine. He's like a little Suge Knight without the fear or intimidation. Just give him a chance. Like, seriously, what do you have to lose? Would I lie to you? If there's anyone, seriously, anyone you can trust, it's me. So go out there on Dynamite, get him a little booster seat, and get to work. Toodles.
I love you. Is this exploitation? Is this wrong to do to my son? Also, during this scene, there were some wolves howling, and Marshall really loved it. He was so cute.
Mount up, boys.
It was a clear black night, a clear white moon.
And then the funniest part of this whole series happens, okay? So Johnny, the quick shooter, who is played by Kenneth Copeland's son, he comes out behind this like cart, and he is so stiff. He looks like the emoji guy that's just standing there. And then Ken shoots him, and the guy is pulled by some sort of like stunt rope, and he's so lifeless. It looks like a fucking crash test dummy. It is so funny. Seriously, I think I want to watch that again.
Chad, I buried a treasure at Eagle Mountain. This map will show you right where it is.
You think you can buy my respect with a worn-out old map? I didn't want money. I wanted a daddy.
All right, buddy, calm down. It's not like you're going to be nominated for an Oscar for this thing. Nicodemus and Elmer engage in some ass play.
I'm feeling something sharp here in my backside. Would you check to see if I got any more of them cactus needles?
Well, nigga, I don't really...
It's not my behind. It's up here in a small part of my back.
All right.
Yeah.
What's this right here?
Careful! Clumsy as an ox.
Ow. You're the one who's clumsy. Anybody who sits down without taking a look at what he's going to land on is...
Then Chad realizes that he actually has 4 daddies.
You know, it's funny. I found something else. For 15 years, I didn't have a daddy. Now I've got 4.
I'm going to do this one time and one time only.
That's why 2 clowns working together make a fantastic team. For what the one does seems to stimulate the imagination of the other.
2 clowns working together to make a fantastic team. I can't think of a better description of me and James than that, I'll tell you what.
Next, when you enter the nursing home, do not stand there with your group in a large cluster of clowns. Clowns can look rather intimidating if you see a lot of them in one place.
That old man, I'm so sorry. That is too funny.
Be sure to choose a partner. 2 clowns together are really great. If you attempt to make visits with 3 or 4, you outnumber the person so much that they may feel a bit uneasy.
Did he just spike the balloon and knock this lady over at the nursing home?
The elderly really receive you quite well. I think it's because they already know how vulnerable they are. They're lonely, and they long for touch. So as clowns, we take seriously what Jesus said in Matthew 25. I'll put this in my own words. If a person is hungry, you feed them. If they're thirsty, you give them something to drink. And here I add my own words. If they're in need of touch, you touch them. If they're in need of a smile, you give them a smile.
So demons are not engendered male and female. Demons and angels live on a gender spectrum. They are neither male nor female. They can appear male or female, and angels in the Bible never appear to be involved in sexual relations with human beings, but demons do.
First of all, sex with demons, cool. Second, you know he thought he was so manly out there in the snow with his fire. Yeah, chopped all that wood. Like, oh my God.
Therefore, a demon is a transgender, non-binary, sexual being on a spectrum committing sexual sin and promoting tolerance, which is the counterfeit of repentance.
Oh my God, the Jedi-Knights are gonna love that. Oh, that bass line is fucking nice.
Strength. There's something about strength that inspires. It moves you. Simply defined as the quality or state of being strong.
Okay.
But it's more than that. Strength pushes. It drives. It beckons us to strive for more. Strength positions with fortitude and resilience. Something we're ever in pursuit of. A hunger deep within us. And yet, how is strength expressed? How is it quintessentially synthesized? What is its purest form?
Motivational poetry. There's dudes beating the shit out of each other.
The velocity of a knockout.
This is quite literally the perfect soundtrack to the things that I am watching on my screen right now.
Or is it typified in raw physicality? The mastery of muscles and ligaments to exert maximum power against resistance?
Guys really will see this and say, hell yeah.
Or is it the precision and force idealized in the union of man and machine?
I'm losing my fucking mind! This is amazing!
Or is it cardinally the fine, synchronized technical training to defend, protect, extricate, and liberate?
Not the fucking laser Call of Duty military propaganda.
Or is it the finely tuned cohesion of a team moving seamlessly? Their harmonized physicality making championships a reality.
What in the Spike TV is this shit? Is this fucking Slam Ball? Because it's awesome.
Or could it be that true strength is beyond physique? The toughness most desirable is mental, cerebral agility and cognitive prowess, the mind moving the muscle. A strength defined as clarity and coherence, fortitude and resilience, weighty eloquence, courage of spirit.
Abraham Lincoln?
But if you want to test a man's character, give him power.
Never give in. Never, never, never.
Is that supposed to be Winston Churchill? Why these two people? I don't understand what's happening.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up.
MLK, what are you doing here?
Look at me, you. You are a new man. You remember I told you what I was doing, what I was all passed away. That's in the Bible.
Papa, we are God. People pray to us. All right.
That's not who I am anymore. Jesus, my God.
God? God? Papa, we are God. People pray to us. They bow down to us. We're their God.
Then his uncle says, well, I don't want that money because it's associated with a bad man. And then he just loses his shit, pulls out a gun, starts threatening him, and then he is just absolutely pushed to the brink when he sees that his uncle is reading a Bible.
What is it, huh? Where's your God? What has he done for you? People move and breathe in this city because I say so. I have what they need, not some God.
Then Rick Rana rolls up on a motorcycle for some reason, and I can't help but think this must have been his way of justifying buying a motorcycle to his wife. Come on, Nettie. It's not that I'm having a midlife crisis. My character needs a motorcycle.
Who is this? Who is this?
Her mom goes to the bathroom and takes a handful of what appears to be over-the-counter allergy medicine. Oh no, not my Claritin. A night, Marcos attempts to break into Chris's house and abduct her. I'm not surprised that that's the angle that this series went if you know what I mean. Have no fear. Kenneth Copeland shows up to save the day.
It's time for you to go.
Is it? The actual hero of this moment is the badass old lady neighbor who's packing a shotgun.
What's going on here? Somebody better speak up.
Honestly, she is such a vibe. Look at her sitting on the couch there with her gun.
Going on here? Somebody better speak up.
These bitches politicians soft. I'm the hardest out the eight. And if you got pressure, bitch, drop your addy on the way.
What happened? Mom, I'm fine.
He never got in.
Life is getting to be too much for our teenage protagonist, Chris, so she does what she learned from her mother and takes a bunch of allergy pills and promptly falls asleep. Oh my god, not the Zyrtec. Meanwhile, at Bad Guy McMansion, Santiago confronts Sarka, and he pulls a gun on him and shoots him dead.
People, and even your God can stop it.
Then you're not going to believe what happens. So Kenneth Copeland, Sarka, survives this shooting. And by that, I don't mean, he did the trope where he had a Bible in his pocket and the bullet reflected off. No, he fully died and then is resurrected like Lazarus.
What happened? Sante killed me. He shoot me dead. But the word of God is true.
How are you funding this? He asked me, how are you funding this? I said, well, it's about $2,000 a day right now. Every day we work, it's about $2,000. And I just looked at him, I said, it's not my gig. This is not, this is not, me and my wife, we tell each other, we don't do payroll. Because everybody says, businesses say, man, I can't make payroll. I cut that out. I say, I don't do payroll. My Heavenly Father does payroll.
Because Mike also managed to somehow step on the toes of Fundie Fridays in particular by completely bungling the sales pitch of Precious Moments figurines.
Precious moments. Hope your day is full of them. Perhaps these little figurines would add a bit more preciousness to your day. You remember How the Grinch Stole Christmas? Those little Whoville kind of guys? Yeah, I can hum a few bars. But don't these look like those guys who hung out in, what was it, Whoville? Cindy Lou Who? Like Smurfs, sort of. The Precious Moments. Don't they? From How the Grinch... What were they called, Blair? Anybody remember that? Whoville, what were they called? Hooters? Who's it? The Who's?
Well, I've got to say, I know of at least one person who could do a much better job of selling those lovely little Basque porcelain figurines than that. Don't talk to me or my son ever again, Mike Rowe.
Of course, the Love Your Neighbor one is the most famous because that depicts both legally distinct Black Lives Matter protesters, but also, they also depict them going up against cops and racists, kind of painting it in an all sides sort of situation. But they always set them to, what they think is emotional music. And so there's one that's really famous that plays I'm Only Human After All by Rag and Bone Man. And I obviously can't play that for you, but I can sing my own version of the song.
Maybe I'm foolish, maybe I'm blind, thinking I can see through this and see what's behind. Got no way to prove it, so maybe I'm lying. Take a look in the mirror, and what do you see? Do you see it clearer? Or are you deceived by what you believe? 'Cause I'm only human after all. You're only human after all. Don't put the blame. Some people got the real problems. Some people out of luck. Some people think that I can solve them. Lord heavens
above. I hope you enjoyed this compilation. I will try to keep up with it. Maybe next year I'll do this year's stuff in a compilation. I don't know. Either way, it's also fun. It's like a throwback to TV. Remember watching clip shows? Man, now people just have like TikTok, like horny edits of characters that they like. So yeah, if you want to support us financially, and you don't have to, by all means, we'll be fine. But if you want to, we do have YouTube memberships, Patreon memberships, $1 and $3 tiers that get you the same exact thing, access to the Discord, a merch discount, behind the scenes footage, and if you're a YouTube member, there's little stickers that you can use in the live chat. And of course, if you're on Discord, there's about 1 million stickers and gifts you can use. And we do watch parties on Mondays, which... it's not like a live stream. It's just we just watch TV and then it's over. We also do have fundiefridays.net. As that's our website. We took too long and somebody squatted and took fundiefridays.com. So we have fundiefridays.net. We also have fundiefridays.shop, which just redirects you to our Fourth Wall store. I think you can also just search Fundie Fridays on Fourth Wall. Also, the Bonfire and the Fourth Wall stores are the only legitimate Fundie Fridays merchandise stores. We do have some of our designs on like bootleg t-shirt websites, so keep that in mind. I feel really angry about it, to be honest. We do still have a bonfire, and it hosts some old merch designs that are not on the new shop, and they are just direct fundraisers. I just let them sit so they can raise money for other stuff. I do also have my link tree I'm always plugging. I don't know if people ever click on it, but my link tree has all the articles that I've ever been interviewed for. If I'm ever like on somebody's podcast or do a collab, it's on there. I also have fundraisers in my link tree, including the Creators for Palestine fundraiser. So if you're interested, I got that. Yeah, I just love you guys so fucking much. Holy shit, do I love you guys, and I'm so glad that I get to do this, and I love you, and I'll see you next week.